There we go then. The opening ceremony for the Dota 2 Asia Championships 2017. Main event here in the arena, and we are officially underway. Our first matchup is just around the corner, OG versus Newbee. We're back with our panel members. Firstly, Peter, I wanted to talk to you. You've taken part in a few of these opening ceremonies. What's it like from a player's point of view? Because it always, I look at some faces and I think they really don't want to be here. And then others actually embrace it. They come in, they're like waving and cheering. What did you make of it?
I've been through a lot of them, and some of them are worse than others.
Okay.
This one actually wasn't too bad. It was quick. I don't know how long I had to wait, like behind the curtain kind of a thing, but I mean, I enjoyed it. It's nice to kind of put a face to all the players, especially for the viewers who don't know these guys that well. And you know, there's a bunch of fans who are come like way out of their way to see the players, so it's nice to do that kind of intro. And I mean, the guys like fighting with the weapons and stuff. It's kind of like, yeah, but it's cool. Yeah. I like it.
I think it was a little bit imbalanced in there, though, because the wings guy had like a spear.
That's what I was saying. I was like,
one of the guys had nothing. That's can't
that would be
right.
Wow, that guy was such a badass that he could only fight with his fist. They were like, all right, we got to handicap this guy. He's too good. That was on P.
So maybe Wings is going to win this tournament. I mean, he had the spear.
Yeah, he did.
True.
Yeah, the biggest cheer, other than for a single player, which I think was Burning, basically, was actually for EG.
Yeah. I mean, people. I think
they're popular out here.
I think like Sumail had like a bad reputation in China when he did the easy China tweet. But I think it's really like turned around, and I think that people have been very receptive. Also, like winning TI5, you get like tons of bandwagon fans. So
everyone loves a bad boy, right?
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of. I guess that's kind of what Sumail's going for. But no, I think he's just a lot of China fans. It's nice to see.
All right, let's get into our first game of the day. It is OG versus Newbee. We'll start off by talking about OG. They are, of course, the triple major champions. Got a star-studded lineup, Kevin, and we're expecting big things from them. But they've delivered in the group stage.
Yeah, they have. They only lost one game. They had a couple more that were a little close, but they pulled it into a win. And I think the big thing you take from OG is they have a wide variety of strategies. They're picking heroes that no other team is touching, and they're performing extremely well no matter what their strat ends up doing. So there's a lot of confidence for them going all the way to the grand finals.
What do you make of them so far, Cap?
Well, the first thing that stands out to me is when the hell their team's going to start adopting the Visage that they've been running so much. You know, teams got to start banning that one away and also be running it for themselves, because clearly it's a hero that's fit. And OG is like, they've always been known for that, right? They always have a few heroes every patch that they feel are like particularly strong, and they adopt and make their own.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like everyone's figured that out yet. Might be long, though,
I'm not sold on Visage yet. I think Group A was very generous.
Okay.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
There's a big reason why Empire made it to top 2, and it's not necessarily just because
Assault has arrived early.
I'm being genuine. Like, Empire is a good team. Like, for sure, they qualified here, but they qualified to this event because VP didn't play, and VP is technically the best CIS team because, you know, they qualified for Kiev. And then, you know, Empire comes in, has an amazing tournament, an amazing run, all the credit to them, but their group was not the strongest, and we said that from the very beginning. So, and then we see OG pick heroes like Arc Warden, for example. Yo, you could say like, oh my God, they're geniuses. They're so.
Oh, come on, they're so
past the meta.
Arc Warden is something else, but there's consistency to Visage. You have to give it that.
I'm just saying,
Arc Warden was a misclick.
They're an amazing team.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to make your drafts look incredible when you're a good team. That's what people gave me so much credit when I was drafting. I could lose the draft and still win the game, and people would be like, "Oh, that was a smart draft."
That was a genius draft.
That niche pick was perfect for the situation.
Okay, let's move on to their opponents. It's Team Newbee, and take a look at their lineup. Peter, I want to talk about Newbee because it's a very interesting. They were a tougher group in that Group B. EG took them down. It looked like pretty straightforwardly, and then Newbee advanced instead of EG. So it just shows you how you have to be really consistent through the group stage, and they were.
There's a couple of teams that started off really strong and, you know, didn't do too well towards the end, and Newbee was kind of the opposite. They, along with I think Liquid is the other one, who did, you know, very poorly on like days 1 and 2, and then at the end of day 2 and the end of day 3 they started getting like 2-0 wins, and they kind of, you know, moved up the scoreboard very quickly. I think that they kind of figured out how to utilize SC in the best way. You know, we saw him playing earlier.
The Naga.
The Naga was just like, the Naga was abysmal. It was not good. But they put him on heroes like.
He said that, none of us.
No, but
I mean, it's true.
I think they would agree with me.
Yeah.
So now they put him on heroes like Ember and Lina and Invoker, and he is getting like 20 kills a game or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem to be the key, doesn't it, for them, unlocking that his potential within the team and getting him on the right hero.
Yeah, absolutely, because I think U9 will always put in a very consistent performance. I think it's nice to be able to have those kind of two polar opposites in that regard, where I feel like U9 is very consistent, but you can't rely on him when the game is down, and you really need those like big risks to happen, those really big plays. I think you can't rely on him, but you can rely on SC to make those kind of plays, right? So, but then when SC misses, U9 is always there to kind of cover up the slack.
Yep.
And even some of the times, KP is going to be able to pick that up a lot as well. He sometimes has some off games, but there's also a lot of other games where he has super impactful performances with a Centaur or Nyx or another initiating stun kind of hero. So I have a lot of faith in their team being able to pivot and do what they need to do.
Okay. In terms of OG, just flipping back to them, we talked about Anna being this great pub stars, coming sort of following in the footsteps of Miracle in a way, and they're big shoes to fill. How do you assess that so far? Do you think he's fulfilled those?
I don't think that Anna is top 3 mids right now, nor do I think he's anywhere near the bottom of like tier 1 mids. I think he's just pretty much kind of solid. There's some inconsistencies, but I think for the most part he does have some really standout performances. You give this guy some time, and I think he really could be a top 3 mid. You can see the kind of plays, like as he gets more experience, and obviously a lot of it has to do with his team, and they're able to, I think, find a lot of openings for him, but you can see some explosive performances that I think given time will be more and more common.
It's not the same as it was when they had Miracle, though, is it? In terms of the way that they play?
For me, there's something just missing with Anna. And, they won the major, so all the props to him, but it just seems like he's not that, star player. I mean, he's an amazing and really talented.
What is it that's missing?
I don't know. It's like that. It's the
X factor.
It's the X factor. He's just not as flashy. He's not as
it's like the
aggressive. He's not as...
Yeah, it's the confidence, right? It's like when you watch Miracle play, he plays with such utmost confidence that he, knows he can outplay his opponent. I think Sumail very much is like that, right? He's got kind of that attitude.
Even if they don't necessarily win the match or win the clash, they think they can.
Yeah.
No matter what, and that oftentimes gives them the advantage.
I mean, the key point, I suppose, in a way, is when you compare him to other players like Sumail, for instance, Kevin. We've seen Sumail on a number of occasions go 0-5 in the first 5 minutes of a game, just almost like feeding over and over again. And you think, wow, he's having a terrible game, and then suddenly he comes online in a game, his team enable him, and he has the game of his life. And he seems to be able to do that regardless of the style of the game. And it doesn't necessarily fill you with the same confidence.
Yeah, I would say the difference to me is that Anna sometimes has some poor games, and maybe that does happen to the other top mids as well, but I feel like his star power comes in more late game. Like his late game teamfight decision-making always seems consistent, where some of those other flashy players can sometimes make a semi-throwing mistake late game. I feel like Anna doesn't do that. So his early game and maybe mid game are a little weaker, but I feel like his late game is more consistent and stronger.
I would agree.
Yeah. Okay. In terms of the pool for OG, they've always seemingly had quite a large pool of heroes that they can just dip into. But having spotted them through the group stage, they did play a number of different heroes. Do you think they'll adapt that more to more standard OG style of heroes in this particular?
I think up against Newbee, we'll see very, very meta-dependent heroes. We'll see, Lina for mid, Ember Spirit for mid. We'll have Jerax on Earth Spirit or Monkey King, and Fly will. I think Fly is most likely. I think Crystal Maiden is kind of making a big comeback. I think the Crystal Maiden Lina combo, from what I've been hearing and what I've been researching, is that it just gives Lina so much mana throughout the game. It helps her farm.
Okay, the team intros are up and running, so let's bring you into that right now. It's happening on the main stage.
即将为您带来的是 OG 对阵 Newbee。
There we go then. Teams have been introduced to the main stage and are now heading into their booths, getting ready for the opening draft of our upper bracket semi-final. Just a reminder for you, it is the upper bracket semi-final. If you're thinking, well, how did you get there already? Well, that's because we had 3 days worth of group stages that determined the top 2 positions in both groups, and all 4 of those teams are now in the upper bracket. OG versus Newbee is our first game of the day. We're back at the panel. Peter, other than the mid matchup that we've already spoken about, who are the people you're looking for to step up in this game for both teams?
I was kind of thinking about what roles are different on these teams, because I think the mid matchup is very similar. I think Notel kind of plays the same heroes as like carries on Newbee, and then I'm just like, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you see any like differences in the roles from the players?
Supports are the heroes at least.
Kaka and Jerax play the same heroes.
They do, but I expect to see a lot more hero variety in there. I feel like the cores are pretty laid out. Like you're going to get your Magnus or typical offlane hero. The cores rotate between like tops 5 heroes, with like the 4th in the row being Troll. So I think most of the variety is going to come from the supports and how well their roaming is and how it affects the tempo.
Maybe Fly will play one of his, maybe he'll play the Visage or something different and unique, but like Faith was like playing like Crystal Maiden.
Maybe we'll see Enigma again. That was the last hero.
As
that
a support
was
or an offlane?
S4 played it one game in the offlane. Maybe we'll see more of that. It'd be kind of fun. Did really well that game. You got the cooldown perk, you got a Midas, you got the Octarine eventually. His black holes like every 100 seconds. You just kill people with it. No big deal. Gave him such good opportunities because it's like the most reliable kill ever.
Sure.
4 seconds stun.
I do think that while there are similarities between their 2 carries, their 2 safe lane players, I think they take a different style to it. And that U9 really likes both the IG squads, I think, because they practice against each other so much. I think they really do like the 1v1 matchups, and I think some of that went into Newbee as well, where they really like to be able to just give this like strong kind of like safe lane dead zone hero, you know, the kind of hero that's hard to gank. And then you have Notail, who likes to be able to use his carry to very actively move around the map and create space. You watch his Terrorblade games, and that guy's the most active Terrorblade by like actually exponentially than any other carry I've seen.
Yeah, terrifying, some would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think is that supposed to be a pun?
I think that's what.
No. Wait, how was that pun?
Oh, sorry. I think you just like the fact that he just like moves forward and he's just like that guy. He has the same kind of playstyle, and that's what I want to go back to, is that you said some of these players have certain kind of playstyles, and they just work with it, right? And Notail is one of those, and he just matches different heroes to that same playstyle, different patches.
Definitely a great guy to have in your team.
I think that's where we will see the difference. Yeah. I agree. I think Notail and U9 are going to play different heroes, and that'll kind of determine the styles and the success of the 2 teams.
Yeah. In terms of the way Newbee approach this game, how do they look at it? Do they feel like they're the underdogs in this game? Do they forget about group stages and some of the mistakes that they had, or how do they approach it?
I think they have tons of confidence. I think they come in as like probably thinking they're like the best team in China, you know, right there with IG, and you know, they got their home crowd behind them. I think they'll be just fine confidence-wise.
Yeah, we spoke a little bit about that, gents, didn't we, in the group stage? What is it about big Chinese tournaments that the Western teams seem to do well at, and the Chinese teams seem to suffer at a little bit? DAC 2 years ago, EG won. Last year in Shanghai, it was Team Secret.
It's probably the sleep deprivation from the changed schedule. So they're like their reality isn't quite fully there. So they just play Dota.
Just play automatic.
I think it's about timing of the year. Honestly, yeah.
They've always had
every single time.
It's always been in the first 3 months.
Yeah, this timing of the year is really bad for China in general, most of the time, because we saw Shanghai, right, leading up into everyone knew they were going to be breaking up, so it was kind of like the Chinese shuffle is coming. They're not particularly invested. They're more focused on TI, so I think it was just more of timing. I don't think that will apply to this tournament, though.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
Rosters are a bit more stable.
Yeah, rosters are stable. We're set on this is our TI roster, and they're going to work hard to ensure.
We've got Kiev just around the corner as well, so they want to use this and make sure that they actually get some good value out of this, regardless of their results.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. What about OG? What do they look at just going full out here? Do they hold anything back? There's always this element, Peter. In fact, tell us, right, honestly, do teams hold stuff back when there's a big tournament around the corner?
No, I don't think so. Not at all. Because the thing is, whatever they think they might have figured out, somebody's going to figure that out next week, and they're going to use it as soon as they can.
Yeah.
So there's nothing like secret-wise. You might think that like maybe the way you think about the game or maybe the way you play the game is different, but that's not something that is too easy to pick up.
Okay, we're going to get to the draft very shortly. What are we expecting hero-wise? Are we going to have this leaner Monkey King, and we're going to see the visage? Are those questions that you all have in your minds right now?
No question. I'm certain that Lina is going to be most likely #1 priority hero.
Okay. And the Magnus? I mean, you've been quite vocal about the Magnus pick.
It's going to happen, or it's going to get banned, because it just facilitates so much for your melee core, whether it's a Jug, a Lifestealer, a Troll Warlord. Gives you so many farming options. It just makes the hero more impactful in team fights. It kind of covers a lot of different bases. I think the one here I'm a little unsure is OG going to stick to the Monkey King pick for Jarex? He looked a little bit iffy in the group stage on the games that he played, but maybe he played some more pubs, maybe feels more confident, or maybe they just feel it's worth taking from their opponents, because it seems like all the Chinese teams, they all have a really solid Monkey King player. Maybe they didn't farm enough, but I don't know. I think that's the one here we'll maybe see some discussion, some change in.
Okay. Cap, what are your thoughts on that?
I personally think that the Monkey King is like a strong enough hero right now that even if you, as an individual player, are slightly weak on it, I think it'll still be value enough that they'll just pick it up anyway. I think Magnus is probably going to be one of those 1-2 bans. I'm not sure if we're going to see it into the pool. I don't know. What do you think, Kevin?
You don't even think it'll make it in?
I'm kind of leaning against it. I think it just offers so many like drafting possibilities, right?
Yep.
Peter, like from your perspective, right, as a drafter, what is the things that Magnus gives you as sort of like a 1-2 pickup? I feel like there are very many different branches and cores that become more viable.
But then it almost kind of directs you towards like a melee core path, which isn't always exactly where you want to go, and not always the tell you want to give right away. That's why I almost feel like Magnus and Centaur are going to be lower in priority, and I think they'll definitely make it through the first 2 bans and picks.
Okay, well, we're going to see. In the meantime, we're just waiting for our start of the draft. So why don't we take a couple of social media questions? We've had quite a lot over the 5 days that we've been out here in Shanghai. So let's check in with another one right now. Capitalist, what makes Notal a good carry player?
I think he is when he first started on OG, I was pretty critical of him. I felt like his performances as a carry.
Is there any player you haven't been critical about?
Yeah, there are a few. Faith Beyond comes to mind.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was pretty critical of him, but I think he massively improved over his time. I hear that guy just like endlessly grinds, so I think he has a certain play style, and he really recognizes that strength in himself, and I think he applies that well, but I think he just constantly improves. That guy just like grinds 24/7 and just works on just being the best player he possibly can be, and so I think when you've got someone that hardworking, who's always going to be looking out for you and grinds out those games, he has so much experience to fall back on.
Okay. Let's take one more social media question. As I said, we're just hearing that the players are getting into the lobby now, so we shouldn't be too far away. What does Night Stalker need to retrieve his position as a solo mid? Peter?
Like, I don't know, total reward. Dota 3?
Dota 3,
yeah.
Really? It'd be that far away.
A new map, something?
It's a couple problems, Dota player 111. Did you make a smurf because you're embarrassed about that question?
He's fun to play. I like playing him mid.
Yeah, he's fun. It's really fun to get fast levels and roam, but then you leave mid, so then nobody's in mid. So you'd have to like do the strat where like your support goes to mid while you're roaming, or you have AoE so you could actually push the wave, because otherwise you can never push the wave. There's like a lot of really fundamental issues with putting in a hero like Night Stalker mid that make him non-viable.
There's very few like top tier cores that don't have any kind of wave clear. Yeah. And that's what Night Stalkers always struggle with.
Battle Fury Rush? That'll solve it.
Something.
No boots, Battle Fury.
Are you trolling Peter now? Is this the game?
We're trying to help out Dota 2 player 111.
Yeah. Okay.
Give him some hope.
What would you recommend him?
I mean, if he's a Night Stalker player, right? It sounds like he's very fixated on that hero.
Transition to the 4 role.
Yes.
Yeah. Make it a support.
Maybe someday it can be offlane.
Yeah,
again,
you can play offlane.
Unlikely.
You can play offlane.
You play off? What, now?
Not now.
Okay.
I'm sure you could make it work.
I've tried it. I don't know. Feels kind of weird.
Okay. I'm hearing we do have one more. What teams are showing the most amount of styles and strategies? That's a good question. What do you think, Peter? Who's got the biggest style and the widest?
I mean, it's got to be OG, right? They got the Arc Warden and the Visage. I don't know. I think the meta is like. I mean, that's why I'm excited to see the main stage, is because like maybe it'll be different than the group stage, because towards the end of the group stage, we were seeing very similar strategies from a lot of teams. NP was doing some funky stuff, but I just attribute that to Eternal Envy and 1437 theory crafting a lot.
I think
which you didn't like, by the way, very much.
I mean, regardless, it's interesting. I mean, I'm down to be. I'm here for entertainment, you know.
You got different heroes for OG, but I do think Newbee have showed quite a versatility in styles.
Okay.
Maybe they weren't the most effective with them.
Yeah, I was going to say, when they showed them, though, they tended to lose.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's necessarily the best.
He didn't say good or bad,
no,
right?
No, that's true. Yeah, no, he's asking for widest styles.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kevin?
Yeah, I think OG is the one that springs to mind. They played Nyx Assassin in the mid lane. They've been picking a lot of weird heroes.
Yeah.
I was thinking the team that has the least variety. I think the one I'm thinking is Faceless probably. I feel like their styles have been really straightforward. A lot of Terrorblade, cover black in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Black played offlane in his last game though.
You got me.
Versatility in positions now.
ISSI said, trying to win the game here. Black, you take that clockwork to the off lane, and then I'll handle the carry. But he ended up dying to the off laner anyway, solo. So it was a disaster.
There is no quick fix. There is no quick fix.
No, there isn't. All right. Okay. Thank you to all three gentlemen. I'm hearing that there's a couple of things that we need to fix right now here in the arena. As you'd expect, it's day one. Little things, little bugs crop up from time to time. So we are going to head to a quick break. Hopefully it won't be too long, and we'll be able to get into our first draft of the day. Don't go too far away. Welcome back to Shanghai for the Dota 2 Asia Championships 2017. We are in the main arena for day one of the main event after 3 days of group action. Came to a close 3 days ago. We're trying to get into our first game of the day. A few gremlins in the system to get rid of, but hopefully we'll be shortly ready to go into the draft for the first one between OG and Newbee. Back on the panel as well, we have Purge, Capitalist and PVD. Welcome back to all three of you. What are you most looking forward to at the start of this match, Peter? What will tell you which team have come here to win this match?
I think I'm most looking forward to the clash of Group A and Group B finally,
right.
so you can see.
So we can actually determine which group was tougher.
It's tough.
I think it's already, we're already going to set that
yeah,
one.
we're pretty sure Group B is
I'm just
better.
trying to tell Peter early on.
OG could be the best team.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to find out this week.
Is this the tougher semi-final, do you think, between the two? Are they more closely matched?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we were surprised by Empire during the group stage. We'll see if we were surprised, but I think IGV was like a standout in Group B. You know, they kind of rose above the top. They put up some 2-0s against some really good teams.
They went about it quite quietly, really, didn't they? Sort of flew under the radar a little bit. We were all excited about OG doing really well day one, day two again, and IG just sort of went about their business and got on with it.
I think we as a Western audience pay less attention to the Chinese teams than we do the other guys. Like we're looking at, oh, NP might make it in the top 2, and oh my God, EG's not in the top 2. Like what a disaster! And we're like, oh, IGV and Newbee at the top. Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Especially because a lot of those teams are a little bit new in terms of roster shuffle, whereas a lot of the Western teams I feel like have been pretty solidified in their rosters for a long time.
It does feel very stable.
It's that typical like TI reshuffle, and then they kind of stick to it for a long time, unless there's some major issues. But
so into the draft we go.
What is happening?
There it is.
Oh, look at that!
I refuse to.
Magnus and Centaur banned away.
We talked about it.
First pick,
and it's come true.
Well, if
Peter's.
All right, one really cool thing about Visage that OG did in one game, and I don't know if they did it on purpose, but there was this time where the enemy team was all smoked. They found Fly in the Visage as their smoke broke, and they actually couldn't kill him because he tanked so many nukes in the first couple hits, which was kind of interesting. Like as a hero, Visage does output a lot of damage as a support if he doesn't die right away. So depending on the lineups and his farm level, he can be really good. Plus, you get area of effect control. You have flying vision wherever you want it to. Those are a lot of things that OG has valued historically.
Okay, so we're not going to go down the Lina Monkey King route. It looks like it anyway. The Lifestealer Warlock route instead.
I think the problem with that is that Lina does have some issues with Visage because of that innate tankiness of the Gravekeeper's Cloak, is what it's called. So. I think that those are kind of like the two openings for these Chinese teams. It's either going to be a Lifestealer +1, usually like Coddle, Warlock, or something like that, or it's going to be the Lina Monkey King.
I'm looking forward to being incredibly impressed by this Visage because
or you're going to be completely vindicated by this Visage, and OG are going to realize, wow, this is a garbage hero.
We'll see. I'm very surprised. I would have never guessed. There's no scenario that I would ever guess a first pick Visage.
Did you catch any of the other games where they played Visage?
I saw a couple games where they played Visage, and it was like, oh, OG's crushing and Fly is crazy farmed, and he's unkillable because he has 14K net worth as position 5.
So what's the problem? Just OG's better?
I just attribute it to them being really good. Like,
okay.
The problem was that OG never felt pressured. I think they're the laning phase. Like Visage is just able to like get his pulls and get his farm and whatever, and he was just like, okay, if you let a Visage get to like level 8 and completely uninhibited, then yeah, he's really going to start going off. But oftentimes the problem with Visage is very early on in the laning phase, he looks rather lackluster. He doesn't also give you the same kind of like quick lane clear that some other supports do, and he doesn't provide like a saving
I get the feeling though that Peter's just tainted by having to carry you noobs whilst playing Visage.
Don't look at me, I wasn't playing in there.
It was me. Me, OD, Pixel, Sheever, and Scriff.
It was a lovely stack. I'm honestly surprised we didn't win just a 60-minute low priority game that you have to play over.
Yeah. So thank you, OD Pixel Smurf, for doing something.
I asked Owen, I was like, how did you get your Smurf into low priority? He said, oh, I had a particularly vocal day.
One vocal day.
Anyways, we got No-Tail Naga.
Yes.
I believe. So Naga is like a very good laner.
Why did they pick Naga over Terrorblade versus the Lifestealer?
It's kind of good as well. I mean, you've got Snare versus Rage. You can sleep through it.
Talked about Visage not really having great lane push. Naga is probably one of the best lane pushers in the game. So maybe there's maybe they're just trying to go late game.
Yeah, cover
and
that
then
weakness.
have like 4 to 5 cores.
It stacks well too. It's more minus armor for Visage. it's maybe not the biggest thing ever, but they do kind of fit together okay.
The Terrorblade's not super great against Warlock.
Yeah, that was what I was going to point to.
With Fatal Bonds.
Yeah, Fatal Bond's a huge problem. Also, Naga kind of helps you dodge team fights rather than kind of take them head on. Terrorblade wants to go walk down a lane and hit the towers with his meta on.
That's definitely what Newbee telegraphed pretty heavily with a Lifestealer Warlock opening. It's like we're going to have strong laning phase, and we're going to have really good team fight. We're going to peak like 15, 25 minutes. We're going to be much stronger than you, most likely.
Tons of wrap potential from both Visage and Naga.
So I noticed when the camera was on Newbee's screen that after they first picked Visage, their player on the far end opened up the hero preview of Visage and was like going through his skills.
Not sure why. He's probably checking the talents.
Yeah, probably seeing like what are the buffs, what are the updates, like why are they picking Visage, what about it is OP. And
well, hopefully they've already had this discussion.
You would hope.
He's just getting some extra research in. You can respect that. He's probably not drafting.
So one of the things, like OG, I think at this point, right, they want to make sure that Newbee doesn't get their hands on a hero that actually takes advantage of the slower pace that they want to be able to take. So I think like some of the more harder carrying mids would be the best pickup for Newbee to try and counter the strat early, like Alchemist. I don't know how you feel about Invoker in this matchup.
I don't know. We'll see. They banned out both Lina and Ember Spirit, which I would kind of put as SCC heroes or heroes I would like to see him on this tournament. So I'll be interested to see what they pick up.
Well, isn't that in some ways like OG are covering like some of the heroes that would have scaled while they already have, while Newbee has the early game, and then conversely, Newbee is banning away some of the early game like tempo controlling mids while OG has the late game.
People do like Alchemist a lot versus Naga just because he scales up so much faster, and you can even
don't feel pressured, right?
You can also just go super late game against Naga with an Alchemist. You know, give Ags to all of your teammates. You know, start throwing moon shards around, and eventually Naga's gonna be 6 slotted, and you don't really have. She kind of peaks right there.
Yeah.
Bat goes.
Bat's really hard to deal with as an offlane if you're playing Visage. Just kind of sucks. Lots of damage over time, cuts through your armor really quick, and you're kind of a crappy lane support. So I think the Bat ban makes sense. Obviously helps him catch Naga Siren as well. She's trying to split push or TP out or something.
Yeah, the flame break can be nice if she sleeps. You can throw that pretty far away.
It doesn't stun, but
oh, you're right. Man, I suck.
That's okay.
Earth Spirit and Monkey King are still out there. Earth Spirit is a really good. Oh, never mind. Sorry. He was first man. Let's look at like 4 positions that would be potential vehicles for Lifestealer. Because if you can have a support that operates as a vehicle, you could possibly have your offlane scale.
Still have Monkey King and Earth Spirit.
I just said that, but Earth Spirit is banned.
Oh, Earth Spirit was banned first too.
Yeah. I feel like this is deja vu, Peter.
It's early, and everyone's jet lagged. It's all good.
I feel okay because at least my mindset is in the same speed.
He was thinking about his Reddit thread about Flame Break not stunning anymore. That's why he wasn't listening to you.
I couldn't care less. Storm Spirit. Hype.
Oh.
Okay.
We like a bit of Storm Spirit.
The hero of DAC #1.
That's true. I'm interested to see what they follow it up with.
How is OG going to cover their early game though with the like a 4 position and a 3 position? They have to somehow like, because you can't just purely play a dodge game, right? Like you do have to fight sometimes. You do have to get some sort of tempo in.
Or you have to be able to put enough pressure on the other lanes.
So yeah, you just like trying
so
to
that
get
they can't go high ground.
Yeah.
Okay, so Shadowfiend locked in from Newbee.
Pretty good matchup against Storm Spirit. Relatively well against Naga in like the mid game, I would say. And he's not bad at hitting buildings. Both Lifestealer and Shadowfiend can hit buildings, and they can potentially end the game early.
I like this pickup a lot from OG. I think it's your big team fight threat. Like you have to make sure that you have good high ground potential, so that Newbee doesn't go like just go high ground by 25, 30 minutes.
This is the ultimate fire versus ice lineup so far, isn't it? The 4 on one side and the 4 on the other.
Yeah, it looks like that. And
I always trusted you, Paul, to get in really good color analysis.
Always bringing it in.
They've also got the Naga Sleep with Enigma Black Hole that used it quite well last time they drafted this. The one problem with their lineup right now that I'm looking at is they have really bad counter push, though, other than the Naga Siren. So pre-Radiance, if Newbee groups decently and pushes towers, it could be a bit tough for OG to defend.
Yeah, they could gain a lot of momentum. I'd say, look, the team fight is great and all, but they do have Warlock to kind of drop rock on the Black Hole if they do set it up like that. So it's going to be really important for OG to find Warlock during that sleep and make sure they disable him, whether it's like with Storm Spirit or something. So maybe some sort of vision hero for 4th pick for OG.
Monkey King.
Bounty Hunter.
Last time that S4 played Enigma 2, he basically AFK farmed for a good 15-20 minutes. He went Midas first with Arcane Boots and came out a couple times for Black Holes, but spent a lot of time in the jungle. So if Newbee watched that game, and I'm sure they did, they should know that there's pressure opportunities there. Unless OG changes it up with builds, but maybe something like a mech could change early fights.
It's interesting they banned away the Kunkka on the side of Newbee last.
Paul, you want to take this one to Blue Hero, or?
Yeah, we thinking blue here, or maybe.
You've done this before, Peter. I don't know if it was intentional, but EG
I'm
have
sure
done it a few. He did. He got to like the fifth
yeah,
minute. Guys, we could have a whole blue team
here. We picked a lot
here.
of like purple-ish heroes. That was back in the Void meta.
Yeah.
Bane
Yep.
Void.
Void Bane, classic draft right there. Miss my buddy Atropos.
It's a fun hero.
So, Riki Bounty Hunter.
I mean,
sort of
that
vision
was an
hero,
idea, yeah.
CM.
I wouldn't mind those. That would be interesting. It's a Jerax hero, so I think something.
Ooh,
okay.
More high
Interesting.
I like that because it's counter push mostly. There's also a good mix of magic damage and physical. The downside is obviously you've got Naga with a Radiance with Elder Titan. Not a good synergy there because you're going to wake people up. But I think it's a good way to slow down the pushes. It'll counteract a lot of the base armor that's going on. I think it's good. You can scout for Sand King as well. Just the vision game that you guys were talking about. The only downside is your minus armor aura is based on your hero now, not your spirits, so comboing with some of the other heroes can be a bit iffy, but
we'll see. I don't love it. They have a ton of team fight.
Yeah.
And maybe if they can kill people instantly, then
A lion.
it'll work.
Wow.
the
Okay.
Lina.
Haven't seen a huge amount of lions so far, that's for
Oh,
sure.
Lion. I was talking about him.
Yeah.
In the group stage. Underrated.
It's good against
Minus
Naga.
30 resecond spawn.
Okay,
You can feed
Lion and
endlessly
Lina.
at level 10.
It's really good against Storm too. Good against Naga Illusions. Pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Cool. Good stuff. Thank you to all three of our panelists. We will be, of course, back after our first matchup, which means we head downstairs to the commentators. And who better to have a black hole first game than Toby won?
Gotta tell you, Paul, I am excited. It's great to have an Enigma on the field. It's great to have the draft start off with something unusual.
My hero's on the field.
Your hero's on the field? Who's
Naga
your
Siren.
Naga. Yep. Okay, you asked for the Naga Siren, and then you instantly regretted the Naga Siren actually being picked.
I'm just a Naga player.
Okay.
I like it a lot.
Really?
Sometimes. Sometimes.
You like the slow, drawn out.
It's fun to play.
Games.
It's 50-50 to watch.
You know, it actually makes me think of the old style combinations of like, how do we have the ultimate D push? You got the ET Spirit plus the Naga Radiance. Like, this is something which happened a lot in Southeast Asia for a while. You send your illusions down the mid, you send the ET Spirit down the mid, and you can actually hold the creep wave at the tier 1 tower of the opposite side of the river. It's ridiculously good split push.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And on the other side, we have pretty big team fight too. Warlock is sometimes seen as a good counter to Enigma Black Hole, but how's our game looking?
I would love to see, but we're not there just yet. So we'll wait to see just how long it takes to get into the game. What else do you think about like the drafting phase? Like, we saw the Magnus being banned out. We didn't go for the normal kind of route. Where does the Visage fit into everything?
It's OG specialty. What more is there to say? They love that hero. It opens up a lot of pushers with them too. You mentioned like the Drow Ranger that they occasionally do with it, but I think it's we usually don't see Fly get too big except for that hero.
Yep.
Which is
yep.
good.
And then
base.
I'm actually wondering too, like how Newbee are meant to try and deal with this, because you got to understand this attack from OG, it's going to come from all sides. So how do you approach it then as Newbee? Do you just focus on your lanes? Do you focus on your rotations? Is that what you do?
Depends on what they think is going to happen in the off lane. So we usually see Enigma actually in dual off lanes. He's like half jungling, half denying the range creep, and then a support just leeching in that lane. But if they just have the Enigma down there, they can approach it a little bit differently and just try and kill him. But if there's a support there, maybe they can focus on the other lanes and go on the Storm. So it just depends. It's really easy with heroes like Monkey King. You can just sit in the trees and absorb while Enigma goes to jungle those two camps. And looking at the beginning of the game, Radiant have not been able to invade the Enigma's two spawns.
Yeah, it's just the basic standard stuff. Even with Enigma, like when you're running on that dire side, isn't it easy
This
enough
is not
to
standard,
farm
Toby.
next to the secret?
This is not. This is
You don't like that Radiant Observer ward as a standard ward?
No,
if you can't get in?
usually you try and focus on the Enigma because he's the one that's going to be jungling the most. Usually Storm Spirit jungles like maybe like 5 to like 8 but Enigma juggles very early on.
But we're also looking at like the off lane Enigma. So like, what are you going to do to really stop that?
Well,
he's just going to sit on the
bot
lane.
He's not that strong at level 1. He has no escape. All he has is being able to deny the range creep. So without that,
so do you then just like run Jirax more as this like babysitter? Like if things get rough, I suppose he needs to also be level 2 before he can really do much.
Yeah, he has the boots.
So
he wants to make stuff happen.
Utilize the camps next to secret shop. Find your farm there.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. But that's why the Radiants usually counter it with obs or sentries. They block both the camps usually. You can get a 30-second spawn, the 1-minute spawn, and a 3-minute spawn. So by the time Enigma's like jungling phase is generally over, the camps respawn again, and then he's a little bit under-leveled. He's their main team fighter. They need him to get pretty big, get mech and whatnot, and try and fight because as general with Lifestealer lineups, things are going to be pretty swift from Newbee's side.
But with all those resources committed to the Enigma, like you look at what Newbee's focusing on now, the 4-man spoke maneuver up to the Dire safe lane. That's going to be No-Tail's area. Do you shut him down instead? Like you accept the fact that Enigma's going to find the farm, but then your trade-off is going to be like your timing, where you get like your Blink Dagger on your SK, or like your SF and your Lifestealer start hitting harder. Are you then able to deal with the Naga? Actually, can you even do that? Because if the ET gets levels, he's going to counter push you.
Yeah, I think that's why they're changing their game plan to actually invade their safe lane instead. If Fly doesn't get big, it's actually a big issue too. If he doesn't get like his normal items, they won't be able to like if they get like a Roche on Storm Spirit and all these other items, then it's going to be way more difficult. They can only put out so many fires at once.
Very smart from OG. They've backed up. Maybe not understanding if Newbee were going to attack or not. There's no vision really on the bottom lane that tells them anything about this. It's just more of a safety thing. And with these pauses happening as well, you definitely don't want to be in a position where you, because we've got a little bit of a sound issue by the sounds of it. Pun was not intended. Just get back into a safer zone. Don't risk anything for now.
I was thinking about Enigma. Are you a plus 90 or whatever GPM talent or cooldown reduction? So like 120 versus 15%? I was about to say 12. I think it's 15%.
I am always going to go for cooldown reduction on the Enigma.
Always.
Always.
We need like a personality test for Dota. It's like, would you take 120 GPM or would you take 15% cooldown reduction on Enigma?
Well, and then it like pumps it out. It's like, well, you were close enough to this pro player who would normally do this. It's like,
that'd be a cool personality test. It's like, would you call Bane Elemental Bane or Atropos?
You just...
PBD calls it Atropos. Atropos.
Would it be Abaddon or LOA?
No one calls it LOA anymore.
No, but I always think of it as LOA. That just shows like how old school you can be.
Are you an S&Y kind of lifestealer, or are you an Armlet Dezo kind of lifestealer? That'd be interesting. I always like the different personalities of players and what they build. There's some that are like super rigid with their builds too. Like, no matter what, they'll go, but people like, I was just looking at Fly, he's pretty flexible on his Visage builds.
That's right, you just put your Broodmother build in. It's like, who are you? Well, I'm Baby Knight. I rush Radiance first item. That's what I do.
Are you that kind of guy?
Yeah, if you are that kind of guy, you are a wonderful person.
What would be the 8 personalities with Dota if there were a personality test for Dota?
Could you limit them to just 8?
Well, that's how the standard personality test is. Do you think you can limit all of humankind to just 8? Apparently.
You could probably pump in your information and see who you're close enough to. Like, that's something I reckon Nahas could probably cook up in, like, the kitchen or something.
Well, we have a project for you, Sir Nahas.
Yeah. We want to have a personality test. Which pro player are you more like because of your decisions in Dota 2?
Which courier are you? Are you a
Ramnot
faceless Rex sort of guy, or are you a Ramnot with
I'm a fluffy devourer of weeds.
Do you have the cool flames?
Flames?
Wasn't there one courier with like the flames, the war dog?
Oh, you're talking about the very, very rare courier that actually came out.
Please, what else would I be talking about, Toby?
Yeah, it had a very special custom effect, which no longer works in Dota 2, because it got destroyed, I believe, when the Source engine got upgraded. So it disappeared. But yeah, there was a very rare courier from the defense. There was only like maybe 4 or 5 released at the time. So it was, yeah.
I think that's, you remember we were talking about the gems of Terrorblade and his Arcana? I think that gem for the War Dog is one of the most expensive gems.
Really?
Yep, because it's super rare, and it was really cool. Technical issues.
Yes. Yes. Hopefully, it looks like it was Jirax who was the one having the issues, and the admins have now moved away from Jirax's PC. I saw him tweaking his audio at the very, very start. I also saw a large amount of laughter coming from that booth. When they first picked up the Visage, the entire like OG lineup was just like having a giggle. So either someone cracked an amazing joke at the time, or they were just like, yep, we know the reaction everyone's going to have to this.
Can you think of any Visage jokes on the fly?
Any Visage jokes? No. I have trouble winging it.
We're done here. We're done here, Toby.
You asked for it. All right, so now it's OG who gets to be aggressive. They 3-man smoke in. They put the Observer Ward down, and they're looking around the back. SC, where do you find your opening? It's actually even Warlock as well running up next to the pit, so Notel says hello. And it's the Warlock who has to run away from Elder Titan.
They've done that gank one too many times. I think I've seen them do that a few times, where they wrap around to the Radiant Ancients, and then they try and gank the hero trying to go on the Bounty Rune. I think generally it's like super weak heroes like Invoker and SF that they prefer to do that towards.
It's going to be hilarious to listen. I don't know if you guys can hear the crowd in the background, but every single time SC is looking to get a CS in the mid, everyone's going nuts for them the second it happens. So this crowd's going to be rather biased. Obviously, we will not.
They probably have like a special soul counter for Shadow Fiend.
Just have it up on the screen.
SCCC Soul.
This is the balance. Wait, hang on. He doesn't have the winning balance right now. Troublesome. Well, we have fun battle in the mid anyway.
Level 1 stun, too, on KP. You usually see Caustic a lot more if you're trying to pressure melee safe laners. I'm a little surprised that he did go with that. I guess sometimes if you're scared about dying, you go for the level 1 Burrow Strike. But
would you be worried about pushing the lane as well if you got the Caustic?
Pushing the lane's okay. There's not really... they can actually utilize the neutral camps that they do push the lane. So pushing a lane, sometimes a good thing.
Well, S4. He's not getting all the CS he's probably looking for on that bottom lane, but he's keeping the creep wave back, which is nice. Faith having some troubles getting hit by the phone book of Jirax. Notel able to get the ensnare off. Faith, real trouble and fly. The man who had to get big for OG will spill the first blood just shy of the 2-minute mark.
There's just no pressure coming out from the lane. You have level 1 heal on a Warlock and level 1 Burrow Strike. There's just not enough damage. And Faith, I'm not exactly sure what he was trying to do, going all the way up there. Maybe just trying to interrupt the pool or scout out the pool or something like that.
And now he's trying to steal runes, but you got Fly rotating down as well. So you'll have the heal that will give some Faith a little bit more life. The slow from the Grave Chill. Fly still trying to keep him down, but he's not level 2 yet. So without the Soul Assumption, they don't have the burst damage that OG would really like. You can Burrow Strike back, but Faith's already expended the Shadow Word to heal himself up. So it's more trade-off for trade-off, but it's creating more and more space now for Naga Siren.
She's happy. You don't really want to see any heroes in your lane as Naga. You just want to be you versus the creep world. That's the dream.
All right, so U9 is having the time of his life. Completely, I'd say uncontested lane. The Enigma still been taking one creep off the lane and then using it to farm up the side camps. But Enigma is no longer showing himself on the bot lane. Is that when the line should be up there as well, like getting up in his face? You mentioned like the lack of warding to actually counter the Enigma's camps. What can Kaka do to actually stop just this uncontested farm of S4?
You counter greed with greed, similar to how we saw like the Alchemist versus a lot of anti-mages. I somewhat view that the same way as playing against Enigma. Enigma will farm a little bit faster than you, but if it's off lane, he has to have a lot of downtime because he has to move in between the lane and the neutrals a lot. But I think he can just pull, get 6, kill some people, make the Storm's life miserable. That's why they picked the last pick Lion. A little bit light on the disable was just the Sand King before.
Well, that's not a good thing to have happen. But so far at the start, mid lane looks pretty even. I think the only thing which you might probably poke as a problem here for OG is just the farm coming into Notel. But this is a Naga Siren. We've seen OG do it in the past, even when they were trying to pump extra levels into Jirax, when they ran the Pudge combination with the Naga Siren, where you'd actually end up having Naga going jungle, like pulling for the first couple of levels, and then would easily be able to catch up. So probably wouldn't flag actually that CS of Notel being low as a bad thing for them.
I wonder how early they want the lifestealer to go into the jungle. At some point, you do need to contest OG's jungle. That has to happen, I think, as a sometime in between like the 7 to the 12-minute mark. And I guess he can probably do it when he gets phase armlet. But
is it worth sending him in earlier so your Lion is able to hit up his level 6 faster? So then you can get like gank rotations with a Finger of Death.
Sometimes it's pretty hard with a lifestealer, but I doubt OG are going to make like super aggressive moves. I don't think they're going to be like diving the T1 on top, or maybe, I mean, they could potentially like smoke rep around mid and kill the SF, but I think they're more concerned about getting their items up and running, getting their level 6s.
This OG lineup, and I'm wondering actually like average game time style of approach for OG. Because I remember when OG was first formed, most of their games, they would try and win around the 30 to 35 minute mark. They would itemize for it, they would draft for it, and it was just so damn strong. This kind of gives me a flashback to that kind of draft. Like, we don't really feel pressured. We're going to be able to find our farm, and then we're going to hit this really sweet timing when Newbee won't be able to contest the OG lineup. And even if you do, you just turn on Song of the Siren.
Lifestealer is actually pretty decent at dealing with Song, though. If you get like let's say infested Sand King goes onto the Naga, if they can actually find the real Naga, she will die very quickly. Like you can't really create enough space to like ensnare and run away.
I suppose that's actually like true. Like there's no instant disable when you do go for that kind of jump in. Like ET takes time for his stomp, even though he can do it from range. And Storm's Vortex still requires him to be in position for it. Familiars take a second to drop. It's like the initial stun of Malefice, but even then you got the cast time on it.
Sand King's, I think, the most crucial hero on Newbee's side by a long shot. He has a lot of stuff to do in this game. He's like the main initiator on their side. He has to kind of set up for the Warlock hole. He's going to be the main infest target. He needs to get his blink at a pretty decent timing, like well before the Radiance on the Naga. He just has a very tough game ahead of him, KP.
That's a lot of pressure to put on him, but he always seems to have that pressure. No matter how the Newbee lineups work, you always seem to have KP in a position where he needs to find farm, even if it's not always on the safe lane. This is like style shot now.
That's creepy. That's like the only thing moving in any of these shots is
his jaw.
Yeah.
He's even got a little twitch for it. All right, well, monitors are back on, and so is the game. And we'll just see how much farm KP can get off this top lane. Already had a couple of problems with the ganking, but that Observer Ward is serving them well, so they know that Georanx is rotating over. Not an instant reaction for it. Looks like KP's not too concerned either. Now that Caustic is up, No-Tail's going to be a little bit more cautious about coming closer.
It's a very early raindrops from the Naga. Usually you'll see the Aquila, especially in a tri lane, you get 3 times the value from the mana regeneration. But he is going to have some mana issues, it looks like.
Oh, they're spiriting forward. KP wasn't up far enough to really try and capitalize on it. Meanwhile, Anna's already abandoned middle lane for a quick little bit of a flash farm for him. Up against that SF, I suppose you've got to be cautious about it. Getting SF up into levels, his souls are starting to build up. That's a lot of damage that can come the way of a Storm Spirit who doesn't have an escape mechanism yet. Well, now ensnared, top lane, the Burrow Strike catching out too. Thunderbond's also connecting him up, so OG will not want to commit too heavily to this. So KP creates the space, even though OG are the ones to initiate.
That was a really great stun by KP. He has to stop the ET from getting off the stomp. So all in all, things going pretty okay, I would say. Just run-of-the-mill, straight kind of average start for OG.
Yep. But that's what we're expecting, right? Like, that's what both teams have drafted for.
It could have been a lot worse. I think the Storm could have been taken advantage of a little bit more. Perhaps whatever they want to do with the Lion. But
Kaka going to take a fair amount of damage. Is there a TP rotation to come in? The ping's already coming out for it.
Such a
and with the Observer Ward, they know about it, and Kaka, he's just going to salve up and run away.
It's not an easy place to invade. Like, look at his position. He could have easily been wrapped around. Southwest there's a shrine. Northeast there's a T2, and southeast there's a T1. So there's 3 places they could potentially TP to.
I suppose it would be a victory though, right? Like if he's able to get away and force a rotation out, you can create that 1v1 scenario, because it would have had to be Fly who TP'd in.
Yeah, their catch is not particularly good.
Looks like S4's now working out why he was so confident to go up aggressive. Takes out that Observe Ward in the bottom lane.
Early raindrops for Enigma too. That makes 2 raindrops.
Maybe they're just what are they actually worried about? It's going to be Lion, right? Like,
it's nice mana if you don't want to get Arcane and Soul Ring. Arcane Soul Ring, I think, is overkill on mana. But it's a nice in-between because they're worried about the early pressure, I think, massing up on the raindrops. It's actually pretty unusual for this type of game.
Anna, he's moved over. They can start attacking into KP if they got detection. Yes, they do. The Sentry Ward is down. Notel trying to keep Faith a little bit further out. Same with G-Rex. Anna jumps forward, low on mana, but with the Stomp is enough damage to kill off KP. Faith retreating back to his own T1 tower, but the Soul Assumption flies in. One more Book Slap is still not enough, but the attack from Anna will be there. He'll pick up a double kill on his rotation out from mid lane / jungle. And that's now 3-0 in favor of OG.
So much for stopping the Naga Siren.
They tried.
They tried, but OG had the game plan of, okay, we're going to secure our Naga Siren sword. They weren't really contesting Enigma at all. It's just a Lion. They're not really scared of a Lion, and Lifestealer wasn't really able to go into the area because he's just farming the lane. Lifestealer is, I would say, second most important hero because there's a lot on him too because he's their main damage dealer in the early game. Yeah, maybe like Lion gets 6 and does a finger here or there, but Shadow Fiend's going to be farming up. You usually don't see them get too involved until after their first item.
So you delay the transport for the Lifestealer, so the SK Blink Dagger. So maybe time for KP to actually rotate to the bottom lane. Wow. That's Force playing for the long haul, man.
That's not surprising. The Midas on the Lifestealer is way more surprising.
Wait, is he?
Yeah, that's what the quick buy says.
Okay.
He did have a gloves, but you can build gloves into armlet. I think phase armlet is more likely to play for him.
Oh, Storm Spirit's going to get caught out inside the jungle. SC moving beautifully with Lion to catch him out there.
So this jungle evade is happening very, very early on. 8 minutes in, they have the Observer Ward placed down already. They made a smoke rotation, I believe, with the...
They're going to invade heavily. Notel has leveled up Song of the Siren, and he just lets it go. TP's coming in. Enigma has Black Hole. He can set up for 3 of them right now. SK will be in the neighborhood. That's why S4's getting as much distance as he can to the right, and he holds them in with the Black Hole. The 4 of them all caught in with the Storm and the Spirit Animal will come in, and it is an absolute disaster for Newbee. They're pushed out the top lane. They look tired, and then they look vortexed.
Oh, that was devastating. Their main way to stop Black Hole is is Warlock Rock. And Rock, he was not even in a good position to drop a Rock, even if he had it, because he got slept and holds.
Yep.
And that's just asking for it right there.
I just love this from S4. So he understands there's no Rock, so what do? You get as far away from the SK. And KP tried. He tried to get in there, but the Burrow Strike range just is not enough.
Even if he had gotten a Burrow Strike off, the damage would have already been done. But J-Rex also hit him with a Stomp before, so he couldn't go in. I would have loved to see Newbee's player cams as soon as they're sled. That's one you know you're going to get boned in about 5 seconds.
KP's in trouble. The Spirit's coming in for the Stomp. He'll try and hide inside the Sandstorm, but it's not possible. KP will be picked off. That Blink Dagger becomes almost a dream now for him. And OG, the perfect way to approach the game and coming into 10 minutes. Huge fight, lot of space.
Yeah, they got baited in by the Naga. They were trying to go for the Hex on the Naga in that fight. I'm trying to think of like what could have went better for them in that fight. Like even if they had spaced out a little bit more, like let's say only 2 people got caught in the Black Hole, they still would have gotten obliterated there. So it was just, they feel the pressure mounting. Enigma playing greedily, Naga getting a lot of kills, and her safe lane has been relatively uncontested. Yeah, there's heroes up there, but they're not stopping the pulls. They're just feeding away tons and tons of kills.
So you see Newbee go for a different kind of objective. It's the bottom tier 1 tower. They bring in SCC. They have U9 there as well, and nothing's really going to stop this. While Song of the Siren is down, Newbee know they've got the power to push forward without being straight up contested. No Song, no Black Hole.
I will say that I'm not a fan of the Lifestealer going Midas though. It's because like he needs to be able to do a lot more damage. Trying contesting Naga's farm with a different hero's farm I think is fine, like anti-mage, but trying to contest it as a Lifestealer is generally a losing battle because no matter what items you're going to get, Naga has her skill set just way inherently better at dealing with the Lifestealer than Lifestealers at dealing with a Naga in the later game.
They're coming for a kill over on Anna. Anna is probably the lowest of all the cores, even though I say that while he's 600 net worth in front of the Naga Siren. Just the fact the Storm Spirit still has to soak up so much space inside the jungle to keep that net worth up. And it's a 3-man smoke to the top lane. No tells there. Song of the Sirens back off cooldown. And the Sentry Ward is on top of the Observe Ward. As the Creep Wave comes in, it'll actually kill it off. The Razors, okay, Naga Illusions are trying to get rid of it, and they know. Obviously, when SC cuts the wave with Razors, it's also a big indication.
Yeah, there were two places they could make the smoke ink. It was one towards the Ancients and one towards the top side. And Ana was already sitting on top of the shrine on the high ground vision. So if they wanted to gank him, they'd have to go to the shrine and place a ward. And even then, it's still risky because he can just zip out. So
KP's out of here. He's heading down to the bottom lane because S4 is still adding pressure to it. And while both the Naga Song as well as the Black Hole is up, you have to be cautious. Yeah, you got Rock up available now too.
The blink is mandatory on KP as soon as possible. They know they can't jump the Naga. They have no way to get on top of her.
net worth. He's still another 1,000 away from it.
What else? What other options do you have?
I'd say force the towers at least.
You can't.
Like,
you'll get slept in a hole.
Yeah, true.
Even just a sleep into Earth Splitter is pretty bad too. So yeah, Warlock can sit out of it, but if you get stomped to an Earth Splitter, you're also going to lose the fight. And Warlock ult isn't really going to save you from that because all that stuff will be precasted.
That's some heavy rotation stop. Thanks to Dire Observe Ward this down. They see a lot of this, and Kaka gets shredded apart. Oh, that line doesn't stand a chance. Not with Familiars up in the air. Spirit on top of him. They chain the stuns onto U9, just forcing him back out of the lane. Create a little bit more space, and then the wraparound into mid. SC's pushing towards the tower, but it's from behind. Ana with the haste rune, trying to body block and slow up SC. You got another Stomp coming in. There's the damage, and actually keeps the lifesteal in position from the Song of the Siren of No Tell. They're grouping up around him. Enigma's coming in. They'll slap down the splitter. U9 drag back into it. That TP taking a little bit too long. They do have the rock from Faithfly. I think he knows he's dead, and Kaka will ensure it with the Finger of Death. Following Sun into Ana, and this is a time when Newbee can get absolutely nothing. Ana has his ultimate. He'll jump away to the safe side of the river. So a 1-for-1 trade-off for support for the SF. But right now, I think Newbee are having to take anything they can get.
The Naga Sleep was a gamble. He expected more heroes to be right next to the Lifestealer, and then they would have been able to get the hole. But as they tried to scout the vicinity for the Warlock's positioning, they realized that it was too good of a position. He was on the high ground to the left side where the Ancients were, and there's no way they can really stop him. Storm didn't have enough mana to really go and control him in the fight, and they weren't able to set up with a Black Hole. It's kind of a game of chicken between the Warlock and the Enigma, unless you can get the Warlock in the hole.
You wait until Enigma is able to pick himself up a BKB, and maybe another reason for that Midas. And yeah, as you see it in the quick buy there for S4, it's exactly what he's going for. He's the top net worth on the side of OG at the moment. In saying that, all that money we were looking for to see KP pick up, with that kill that happens in mid, yes, a 1-for-1 trade-off, but you know Song is down, and Newbee, they then capitalized on the moment. They take the tier 1 tower in, on mid, and now they switch themselves up towards the top lane. KP will have to hold out the bottom. It looks like Lion's actually in a position where, with a double damage ring, doesn't have Finger of Death, however. So actually having enough damage to kill off Ana is unlikely. But they're going to bring down the tower, and this will give just enough money for the SK to get the Blink Dagger. So that critical timing will arrive at around the 15-minute mark.
Oh, they're trying to make a play without Song.
That's optimistic, to say the least. If Jiras can get the Spirit down and then get the Stomp, Optimus may be counting their lucky stars. They'll get the 2-man stun. U9 able to just get himself a little bit further away. Another ET Splitter snaps the mid to the Black Hole. The perfect synergistic timing. Faith will go down as well. A double kill for S4.
You see Warlock's conundrum. He can't ever just stay out of it. He's like wants to be with his team, and if you leave your teammates isolated, you're just going to be way too far back, and you'll get separated, and you'll just get slept while they black hole. So, like either way, it's really difficult. Jirax not going to die.
And it's that Jirax stomp as well. It's OG reading the play perfectly. Yeah, you don't have Song of the Siren to put him to sleep, but instead you got another way. Like we're literally looking at Overwatch right now. We've got 4 Anas on the field as they just put him to sleep. The snap timing in the Black Hole, it just looks so beautiful. For all those people that love creating highlight videos and just slowing down the moment at like full 4K resolution, that's one of them right there.
So all this has been before Rock has been dropped and before the Sand King gets Blink. Now that Sand King has Blink, the ball can start rolling for Newbee. This is they have to make things happen in the next 5 minutes, or else Naga's going to have Radiance, and Bloodstone's going to be out on the Storm, and BKB is going to be up on Enigma. So if they don't make anything happen in the next 5 minutes, it's going to be a long hill to climb back up.
And that's where we have to start looking at the warning. We already saw a quick look at the Observer Ward up next to the Dire Secret Shop. So this is the vision that Newbee have to play with at the moment. The Naga illusions are coming in. They got slightly body blocked up by KP. And then the circle is actually drawn by Visage saying they're around here. So I don't know if...
This is a big kill. He has 3450 gold.
Oh, if they can kill him. I hear the epicenter going off. KP will jump in with the lifesteal, and they have enough damage. He buys the recipe. So No Child tries to at least be a little bit more saving on his money.
How much unreliable gold did he have? I don't think he actually...
He didn't lose that much.
Yeah, I don't think he lost... yeah, he lost a lot. Generally, Nagas have a ton of... that's the way I was like, do you really want to buy your Radiance recipe? Because you farm a lot faster with the...
Okay, they're gonna start line impaling familiars to get them down. I'm fine with that. They're good money. ET trying to create space with a stomp, but it's not going to happen. So both familiars lost, and looks like they don't have a respawn yet. But Ana taking out that bottom tower, rapidly approaching his Bloodstone timing.
Sand King can't show as often as he is. He's the only one that can really make space. Maybe once Lion gets Blink Dagger, they have to worry about 2 heroes, but right now it's just the Sand King. Sand King let that everyone can feel at ease for OG.
You can see Newbee hoping these ganks actually work. Faith is going into his Hand of Midas on the Warlock.
I think they just have to fall back on their contingency plan, which is try and go for late game. Which
how do you do late game against a Naga and an ET? That D push is unbelievable, and the split push with familiars is also painful.
You just rely on the Warlock being able to cancel the black hole, or people not being able to get caught up by sleep, or being able to BKB rush down the Naga. There's a lot of things they can do.
They're going to need better positioning if they're going to rely on the Warlock for anything. Because like you were mentioning it, like the Blink Dagger's not there, the Rock hasn't been dropped yet, but at the same time, there's been like 2 fights which have happened where Warlock has had the Chaotic offering and hasn't been able to get it off.
The vision game is just much better though from OG. They have the Familiars to scout, they have Storm Spirit, who can also just run around in the backline, and Naga Illusions, and the Spirit actually. So 4 of their heroes can provide vision for the Naga Siren to get a good sleep, or for Enigma to get a hole off. And like later on too, they can even, like once Ana gets Orchid, it's going to be even more miserable for Warlock. They can just sleep whoever they see, and then Warlock can just get jumped by the Storm, and they have no counterplay to Black Hole. And it's a BKB Black Hole, so absolutely no counterplay.
So maybe it just gets to the point where you say, you know what, SC, can you survive? This is one thing which the OG lineup does like a fair amount of, is the ability to rip through like a satanic target, unless you can keep the damage up.
Surviving.
Yeah, so
surviving Black Hole.
You survived the original burst damage. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's probably going to be an Aghanim's Black Hole by the time this game is over.
He's going to try BKB, but that's why they have the Visage. Visage has...
he's going Octarine after. Okay. It's BKB and Octarine for the Enigma.
Octarine's great. I really like Octarine plus cooldown rock. Even with GPM and Midas, it's also really good. Your downtime is really low because you need to be able to sync with the Naga sleep, and she'll have what, like 45-second cooldown with the Octarine. So generally, your limiting regen is going to be the Enigma.
All right. So currently, is still a 3 towers to 1 in favor of Newbee.
Oh, Yules. What's another way to deal with the BKB or the Black Hole, and the net. The net's been owning KP really badly.
It also allows him to do what KP kind of sometimes finds himself doing with these offlaners. He ends up being the perfect split pusher with Yule Scepter and Sandstorm, potentially able to get out of the net of aggression that comes from OG, while still adding that split push, while still getting OG to worry about what's behind them, create space for their wonderful mid player, like to get SC. That big opening, that big play, where OG are a 1-man, 2-man down just because they had to go and deal with the split push.
Split pushing is really hard though. Naga's really way better at shoving in lanes.
That's why you got a Lion. Mana leak it out and Hex up.
He does
get rid of the illusions really quickly.
He has Blink now, so that's really good for them. Now they have two avenues of approach. I think they can kill anyone with a Blink Hex on the Lion as well. With Infest Bomb.
Oh, Storm. Oh, yeah. Ana just saying hello in the middle lane more than anything else.
Surely they've called out the BKB on SCCC, so now they have to be a little bit more careful about that, how they approach.
Yep.
I think they can just play the farm game now because they have the BKB on the SF. He's not going to be able to farm up that quickly, and that's kind of what you want to be doing as a Naga lineup anyways. It was just
farming. And then make sure you don't have a really, really bad team fight up against the Warlock.
Her net worth is quite low, though.
Yeah.
She's number 6.
Yeah. But I think it's also because Anna took so much of the jungle.
Yeah.
And then Enigma kind of also does a very similar thing. Like, Enigma is sitting at #1 net worth for the Dire side. Like, if it wasn't for his high net worth, it would be light years that Newbee would have over the net worth of OG.
What talent did Enigma take? Let's check it out. 15% cooldown reduction.
Yeah. He don't need no gold when he's got Hand of Midas. Okay. So the attempt, the Dire, they're scanning up at the moment, but they're scanning their own high ground. Familiars get picked up, and now you actually start wondering about Roshan. The ET Spirit's in there. Look for the stop timing. They jump in. SC, he got the Aegis Immortal. Anna wants out of this one. There's nothing really to gain for OG getting caught inside this fight. So they're going to bail out as quickly as they possibly can.
That was a really good double raise by SCCC, though. That, I think, actually won them the fight, being able to kill those Visage Familiars before they could get in. They had no idea how low Roche was. They had to bring over Jirax, send in the Spirit, and by that time it was at like 5%, which just makes it really easy for them to preemptively pop BKB so they can't sleep seal it. And that was a very, very nice maneuver by Newbee. Now they buy themselves more time. Now SCCC, he's kind of free to do a lot more damage in the team fights, and now they actually have to worry about controlling the Shadow Fiend. Even if he dies learning the Enigma ulti, it's not going to be that big of a deal.
Here comes Anna. The Burrow Shrine tries to create space. No BKB up for SC. He used it to secure Roshan. The ET Splitter also makes its crack as you fall and die. SC will come back to life again. A quick Song of the Siren. They group up around him, just add a remnant and the stomp and the kill. That was meant to be the fight where the Aegis gave you the advantage. Without the BKB, nothing could protect the SF for the jump in.
Warlock died again in the fight. They have that mid observer ward, and they just saw that the SF was isolated.
It's the observer ward inside the jungle, sees Karka farming, know exactly where he is. So Notel just holds him there. The spirits are down, and Anna slices him too with lightning.
The vision game was poor inside the pit, but great everywhere else. Mid fight bottom, that's what, 4 heroes down. They lost Aegis, still no rock cast. Vaith is kind of at a loss as to how to position himself in these fights. I wonder what item you actually get.
Is Blink Dagger the way to do it, where you get more range? At this point, you'd almost wonder if it's worth picking up like a Shadow Amulet and just prepping yourself in a position.
I think he's going to have the issue by the time he actually gets items to deal with the Enigma, Enigma's going to have Octarine Refresher.
Yeah.
And it's not going to matter whether or not you stop one rock, because the damage will already be done, and they'll just cast another Black Hole with a Refresher with second BKB. So, unfortunately, the solution was to play better in the first 20 minutes, but that you can't go back on the pass, so he has to look forward to how to deal with it. Blink Dagger is like, I don't
yeah.
I don't know if you want to get Blink Dagger on a Warlock.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You need something else that's able to protect you but still get you into the fight.
Yeah.
Well, top lane's going to be pushing in for Newbee. Now, the BKB should be back up now for SC. Naga Siren does still not have her song available. It's 15 seconds before it's back off cooldown. And OG have already shown they're happy to lose an objective on the map. They smoke just out of range of the observer ward. Now, there has to be some warning bells flagging up here from Newbee. The Radiant scan up, it actually pings correctly. So they understand that OG is moving in. A quick push in as he actually got forced up into the tower, triggered his own BKB. And now there's no BKB up for this fight. The Song of the Siren groups him in. They're hiding inside the tree lines. Familiars reveal. The stomps can be perfect. And there's your Black Hole. Only catching one, but it's a big one. Again, they remove the Warlock from the fight. He just can't do anything right. The Life Stealer will get trapped up to U9, protecting himself, jumping inside the Infest. But SC, there is no protection. He's surrounded by a tree and a hard place. And maybe the hard place is bigger with the SK Epicenter. Jirax wants to TP out the Yule Scepter. He'll cancel it at the last moment as Jirax stunned up, locked up, and brought down. Newbee even without the rock. Maybe it's the fight, but Anna, he's not done yet. He wants round 2, able to pull back in the lion. Kaka will fall. KP and U9, now they have to team up, looking towards S4, munching him down. One more swing. Has he got the range? He does. It's an ultra kill for U9. KP still in the neighborhood. They know Anna is here to fight, but the blink, the burrow strike, familiars are here. Fly has returned, and he's looking for more damage if they can do it. U9 has to rage and protect himself with the physical damage and the soul assumption. He's toggling his way through this fight. The Yule Scepter keeping Visage out. KP, is this a sacrifice? Is he doing it for the team? No, Kaka is here. Create more space, but they're not done yet. The BT's forward. No Tails on the front line. No Song of the Siren. No control, and the disengage is there.
That was a brilliant fight by the Lifestealer. His positioning won them the fight because it made S4 get greedy. He wanted a 4-man black hole, at least a 3. He's like, I could probably get these 2 guys. He of course wanted to get Warlock, so that's the one that he was definitely looking for. And then he just tried to get the 2 heroes on the north side of the hole, and he actually only got 1 hero with it because he tried to go for 3, possibly 4. Wow.
Oh, what a fight.
What a fight indeed.
You know, when we're coming into the series, I was already expecting some high-quality play. I hope for some fantastic team fights. And I think everything, and this is only game 1, 27 minutes in, has already been ticked. And this game will go on for a while. There's still so much for Newbee to work with. Their top 2 cores are up so high. As you can see, there's almost nothing in this game. The D-push, the control that comes out from OG is so fantastic as well. There's no easy solution for either of these teams to win the game.
Naga needs to bump her farm up a lot. She is still very far behind, despite having a Radiance at, I would say, a decent timing. But right now, like, the illusions are just so weak that they just die in all the AoE. Sinking ulti, Fatal Bonds, or Requiem easily clears out the illusions, and she's not getting enough Radiance damage in the fights.
But at least the supports are, like, really difficult to kill off too. Like, Fly's finished up his Solar Crest. You've got the Enigma, who's again still #1 net worth on the field, but that Octarine core is rapidly approaching for him. So even with all the farm that's coming out, you're still getting a lot of work arriving from all 5 heroes.
They have a lot of chances. With the Octarine and the cooldown reduction, you can have Black Hole up every couple of minutes, and you can easily mess up.
It's the blink. It's the blink for Warlock.
It's not a bad option.
He understands, right? Like, he's got to be so far back, and then what do you do as OG? Like, you start scouting with Naga Illusion, start scouting with everything you've got.
To kill the Warlock, I think that's the solution. Or you just get a refresher on Enigma, you just don't care if you get rocked. That's probably the better solution, I'd say.
So you just refresh a BKB and go again?
Yeah, why not? I don't think they can, like, Lifestealer can't do damage to him. The only one that can actually kill him during BKB is SF.
But do you then look for more control coming out from him? Because you start wondering, like, okay, Storm Spirit hasn't got his Augur, he hasn't got his Bloodthorn. Do you have to get the Scythe Device over on the Enigma? Do you need items like this to start controlling up the Lifestealer so he can't just toggle and rage his way through an engagement?
I think the Solar Crest is actually pretty good to deal with the Lifestealer. You just use defensively on whomever is getting jumped. But I don't know. Maybe I was thinking more about the Warlock Enigma battle. Maybe you go like a refresher on Warlock to counter the the Enigma refresher.
But then again, he still needs to live. Like, that's true. That's the primary issue of the Warlock in every single fight. He doesn't live through it. And OG have been very good about that. They're target prioritizing. They understand at the start of the fight, the Warlock must die. If he dies, the fight's going to be good for them. Or at least it's going to be even for them. They're still battling against a really high net worth SF as well as Lifestealer. This is still a major, major issue for them.
I think they just need a combo to disable. I don't think Enigma actually has to black hole the Warlock. They just need to be able to identify his positioning and silence him. The Orchid's coming up soon on the Storm, and they can just get him to control the Warlock, and then Enigma can, you know,
just do his thing.
Peaceful. Yeah,
but then where does your damage come? Like, the Enigma throws out the black hole. Is that enough damage in itself?
Earth Spirit, or sorry, Elder Titan is more than enough, I would say.
With a combo? All right.
Yeah. That's a lot of damage, and it's through BKB with Midnight Pulse and the Earth Splitter, so that's good enough. Maybe once the Satanic comes out on SF, you might have a little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
But generally, it should be okay.
Yeah, that's where my mind is starting to turn as well. It's just like, so where's your physical damage start arriving from? It's not going to come from the Naga. The Naga's going to be pushing you back out. So can you morph this Storm Spirit into being that big pop damage?
I think actually Visage is the...
Is Visage becomes it?
Yeah. She's a really good damage dealer. He, she, it?
Visage.
So it's like, wait a second.
I will not assume his or her gender. Okay, blink away to the trees and get out. KP, Storm Spirit. Ana so close to potentially finding him in the trees. But this is what I was talking about with KP. He always finds himself in these type of situations. I got to split push, I got to create space. Meanwhile, the jungle, the Ancients, they all get opened up for the Lifestealer as well as for the SF. But this will become harder. Now, Manta Style gets completed over on the Naga Siren. The split push becomes more and more real.
Is he going pipe on the Sand King?
It's a pipe of insight.
I wouldn't have expected that coming out from the Sand King, but it is pretty good. You need some way to deal with the... They do have majority magic damage, especially with the Radiance, and it's really good versus Natural Order, too. And they need some ways to keep their cores alive, because they're the ones that are going to be getting Black Hole, not the Sand King. So having secondary items that actually indirectly or directly buff your cores, like Vlad, Solar Crest, Pipe, are really, really good for this particular game.
All right, KP, he's got a carrier with him. The Infested Lifestealer. So is this that gank time we'll be looking for from Newbee? They haven't got a smoke up just yet. In fact, they're going to find the Enigma conversions. Careful about that. It's going to be really good money that actually just helped him finish his pipe. I actually wonder where Enigma goes now with his talent tree as well. And we're going to start checking this kind of stuff as well.
Roche is up again.
So does any team really want to go in there? It seems hard enough as it is for like any team to come out and top in the fight.
Both sides is very difficult. Radiant side, if they have, maybe if they have more minus armor or they have a smoke, like if they have a Medallion, they can actually probably sneak it in. Medallion just cuts the time down that you take Roche by like a good 5 or 6 seconds, and something like that's enough to actually sneak in a fight. They need to be able to get Roche down to like 5 or 10% before the Naga can sleep. And Dire side, they just don't have a good Roche lineup. You mentioned that they don't have any physical damage.
Yeah. It will take so long. Middle lane, the Lifestealer might be in a little bit of trouble. Karka's here to try and get rid of as many of these illusions as possible, and then Storm Spirit jumps in, goes to the silence, the Burrow Strike, creates enough space with the Finger of Death. Ana might be in trouble. A little bit more for U9, and he will fall. Big dominating spree, ended by No Tail. They tried. Newbee tried the Song of the Siren just on the edge. KP fell asleep while he was burrowing out, but the Fog of War, it doesn't protect him now. The creep wave sees him, but KP and Ensnare, they're not going to commit too heavily. Song of the Siren is lost. Familiars, they keep the stuns. Now Ana, he goes in. KP gets the Burrow Strike, and Ana will fall. He went in deep. Support was at range from OG, but not close enough to help him out. That's a dangerous loss as well. No Song of the Siren, but it's also Bloodstone Charges lost. And OG, are you really wanting to do this now?
They'll have to sleep up very soon. That was really good positioning. Notice that Warlock was nowhere in the fight. You could not see him at all.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you want from Faith. And he was sitting up to T3. I was watching his positioning to just make sure that if S4 had Blink Dagger at that fight, he still would have been able to cancel the Black Hole. So another kind of fishing sleep. Like he was trying to see how many heroes he can get with the sleep, and he only got one, and only after he had already struck away.
Come on, he just left this party, got into a quick sandstorm, needs time. You also have to abide. He still has Burrow Strike available. SC also with the Requiem of Souls doing some work. KP, there's your Burrow Strike back up again. Watching the ET split, not really hurting anyone. SC staying inside the pit, and has to jump back out. The rock will drop. No real kills from an S4. The shortest Black Hole in the history of Dota is gone. And they'll keep their attention now. Newbee towards Roshan with no Enigma, with no Visage up, and no Song of the Siren at the moment. Newbee should be able to claim this Aegis for the second time.
A very awkward call to go into the pit right there. I don't know who made that call, but it was like, yeah, they have to sleep up soon, but they don't actually want to be the ones taking Roche. If you're taking Roche, you can't sleep and finish Roche.
Yep.
It's just not a really good place for them to be at all. Looks like Enigma did take the respawn time talent, so he's back up right now.
But it's like the indecision, right? Like you saw No Tail, the second that mid-fight happens, like, okay, so Ana died, they went directly into Roshan. And then the entire team came back out again, triggered the Shrine, and then went back down towards Roshan.
Yeah, I think Lion's been playing pretty well. He was able to control Storm up in the last 2 fights. Like this fight, he zips in and then just gets destroyed later as they're trying to finish him off. And you mentioned like the items coming out on a sinking. He's able to stay alive for so long. He doesn't even die at the end of the fight. Ana controlled up on the right side, and S4 he's like, what do I do here? There's just an SF over here.
It was a nothing play. It's like, okay, I may as well use this. The Black Hole will be back off cooldown by the time the next fight happens. I'll just commit.
The Warlock's been playing a lot better than the first 20 minutes too. That time he's like, you don't always want to use it for Black Hole. He saw a kill opportunity on Enigma. He's like, who cares if he holds? He's just going to die if he does.
Yeah.
If he drops the rock at that particular moment. So now we see the Blink Dagger on Warlock, so it makes life a lot harder for Ana, I would say, because he's the one that actually needs to look for the Warlock in the
Anna's
fights.
hiding. I'm wondering if that Remnant's actually going to get triggered, because you got KP in the lane, but Ana in the tree lines and does his Ball Lightning TP out. No one's close enough to stop it. Kako blinked down, but a little too late.
That was risky.
Yeah. But I think he understood too, like he didn't know exactly where they have vision. And it's actually KP cashing out a Dire Courier as well.
His pipe saved him in that fight too. If he'd gone for a more greedy build like Scepter, he would have died.
He also was able to dodge, like the last Soul Assumption, he dodged with Sandstorm too. He was underneath, I believe, a Dire Sentry Ward during that fight. Because they kept the damage pumping into him.
Enigma's falling off a lot too. Enigma's generally, especially with this build, the Midas Octarine, when you get it this early, you're supposed to be able to come out way ahead in gold. He should not be number 4 right now. Ideally, you'd be probably like 18,000, 19,000 net worth.
Yeah.
But slowly but surely, they will be catching up. Newbee, in the meantime, their cores are getting massive. Satanic already out my Shadow Fiend, so now he has a way to deal with the Black Hole because
he's got a double weight. He's got the Aegis Immortal plus the Satanic at the moment.
With BKB Butterfly, your mention of them having not enough physical damage is coming to fruition.
Yep. And this is where you can now fall back to OG's secondary strat. Like, you've still got Naga Illusions, you've still got the ET Spirit. It's very difficult for Newbee to go inside the base, mainly because the creep wave won't come with them. Their heroes will survive, but the creep waves will not, which means backdoor regeneration becomes a real problem for that push coming in from Newbee.
Time to split push, wait for some more items. Enigma, no sign of anything on his quick buy yet.
Oh, is that a Courier Sniper mid? I think Ada's looking for it. Yeah, he managed to claim it. Just catching it on the way back out again. A little cheeky, but stops the resupply coming to Newbee in the front lines.
Just need to waste their time, and they're trying to desperately cut the creep wave off, and Newbee are trying to kill the Naga Illusions before the creep waves die.
Good luck. Like, the Lion has to do so much work to try and keep him down. It's actually Diffusal Blade being built over on a Naga. Blink Fire. Oh, they found him. They found the real No-Tail, but what do? You're too far away. Like, you can't attack in. No-Tail is still very tanky. That's why KP tries to get into a better spot, but Ana already there.
Warlock's pretty good at hiding. They're trying to scout him out with the Naga Illusion. Like, where is Warlock?
He's a long way away. But the top lane was still pushed nicely from the Storm Spirit, so the Tier 2 tower was dropped. So while, yes, it's a good push from Newbee to take that mid tower, they remove all the outer towers, you still have the issue where you haven't taken a Tier 3, so you can't attack the shrines just yet. And OG have the 2 Tier 2 towers down that they want to have down. It's the side lanes. They'll keep pushing this out. They'll try and keep splitting up a team that wants to be together when they push up. They're splitting Newbee out.
Look at Fly's gold spent on support items. 3730 gold spent on support items. That's a lot. That's like way more than you need for the challenge.
This game is more than a challenge.
It's just a lot of gold though. 3730 is actually incredible amounts.
He actually had to, because like we checked the head-to-head actually with Jirax and KP, and I think we did this like maybe 15 minutes ago, and Jirax had nothing. Like, he had Tranquil Boots and that was it. So after that point, I think Fly has just stepped up and said, okay, I've got everything that I need to do the fights, now it's up to you. So they get their double 4-stars, they can play the maneuverability game, they can start cutting the Lifestealer, you get Glimmer Cape as well. More problematic if you're trying to get these pickoffs. So everything is just survivability and hold the high ground, and then when the fights happen, make the most out of it too.
Survivability is important, but you also have to look at the damage. The Visage is going to be their main source of physical damage. They need like Solar AC is pretty standard, I would say, on the Visage, and they actually really need it because of the butterfly and whatnot on the SF, and not to mention the heart on the Lifestealer now.
It's either that or OG just play for the team fight. Like, if they just play for that, like play for the high ground, you get a good Song of the Siren off. The BKBs are going to really start to drop for SF, and he's not going to go Refresher Orb on his.
BKB, but Satanic's another survivability tool though, so he can still survive because they don't actually have any ways to stop him from attacking except for Black Hole.
Yeah, Black Hole's kind of it.
Yeah.
But either that or you get the Familiar drops, but keeping the Familiars alive in a fight also appears to be very difficult for Fly.
Yeah. That's one thing that Newbee has been really good at, is killing the Familiars.
Yeah. There's Refresher Orb now for S4, so if it is the one thing that works, he's going to have 2 of them.
He needs it
and
badly.
That's on top of the Blink Dagger. So he's going to have a really good position with the BKB Black Hole, and then being able to go straight again.
It shouldn't have gotten to this point for OG, though. Now they're having to brute force with items over finessing them with sleep into Enigma Hole. Like, imagine if they were actually playing from behind and they were down in gold. That's how they would actually have to play. They can't rely on the Refresher to outplay the Warlock. But now that the game has gotten to this point, they need items to make up for something that bad that's potentially going to happen in a team fight, which is fine.
All right, so again, back to the farm kind of style.
Isn't this Naga game interesting, Toby?
This Naga game's amazing, man. Like, I'm so
really
interested.
No, this game is getting really good.
No,
ICO is super fat now.
Yep.
SECC is super fat, and they've weathered the storm in between the disastrous early game, and they've gotten to their BKBs while still actually having other items. Like, if you go BKB and don't do anything else, that's pretty useless. But now they have BKB and then some. And they've transitioned quite nicely.
You know, the reason why I love these type of games is just because it can come down to one big decision. The longer this game goes on, the more there is on the line, the more items there are for these extraordinary players just to capitalize on. And it's like, I'm wondering just how these fights end up being painted. You're seeing OG now smoking forward. They want to target. They only see U9, and KP acting almost like an old school Earthshaker. Sitting behind him, he's going to be that saving grace if it's possible. But Newbee understand what's going on. They're very cautious. They're very experienced with this type of game, and this is just a fantastic, it's almost a dance between these two teams to see who can get their foot just under the other and trip them up.
They have a huge issue with burst on OG's side. Like, let's say Ana jumps the Sand King, because their only hard disable is Black Hole and Electric Vortex. That's it. They have no other, I suppose, Visage Stuns, but that's pretty short and pretty unreliable.
Yeah.
So how do you actually kill the Sand King in a Vortex? You can't. There's like just not enough damage from them right now, which is a big issue, because now KP can just sit on the sideline and look around in the fights. He doesn't even have that much HP. It's 1560 HP. That's not very much at all.
Yeah.
But with the pipe, with the defensive from the Yules and all these other items,
I wonder if it's almost worth like building into the
hard for him.
It's stupid. Like, he's going to start to max out items. Like, he's already got the Ether Lens.
BKB, I would say, is better than Heart. Heart is not that great versus the
but he's
Enigma.
looking at 4-star for the moment. That's going to basically max out his items.
Sand King has this sick regen talent. He has like something ridiculous in terms of his regen. 50 health regen at level 25. 50. You don't need Heart on the guy, at least for regeneration.
Just resist and regen. That's going to be the play for him.
50 regen. That just boggles my mind sometimes with some of these talents that just sound so godly. That's 10 Ring of Health. You can't even fit that in your inventory.
Balance, man. That's what it is in Dota.
It's pretty good, though.
Well, you asked for
I love that talent.
You asked for one thing to happen, and that was for N0tail to find farm. He's now #1 on the net worth.
That was fast. How'd that happen?
Everything they're doing, we just split pushing all the lanes. Like, this is around that time when everyone just starts holding together. You had the ET and the Enigma sitting next to the Secret Shop, and N0tail took all the side lanes. Ana has been almost 100% focused on the jungle. And normally he's been very aggressive going over towards the Radiant side of the jungle. So he's trying to take the farm away from Newbee, and is starting to hit them on the board. Obviously, you're still running hand of miners, and we're obviously going to also get to a point where the money will probably stop mattering, because everyone's going to 6 slot up. The SF's going to 6 slot up, so it doesn't matter if he's going to be #1 net worth. It's going to be about buyback timing. It's going to be about having all the rest of your critical items you want. He's almost finished up the Monkey King bar, and then it's Moonshard, BT level 2, and you're basically done.
Bloodthorn on U9 too. Huh. That's actually quite curious. Normally you'll see MKB or Mjolnir. Those are the 2 items that you generally see. Mjolnir to clear out the Naga illusions and to deal damage if you're not able to right-click people, or MKB to just slice up the Naga as quickly as possible. The Bloodthorn is good versus the Storm and the Naga Siren, so that's actually a really smart item choice.
That's definitely good against the Storm when he didn't pick up a Lincoln Sphere.
He had it on quick buy.
He did? Okay,
yeah.
so we did actually get that. Okay, so it was Lincoln's Blood and the Orchid.
Now they might need Lotus Orbs on Dire side too, so the items are starting to rack up. Yeah, so you have to get a Lotus Orb versus the Lion.
It's double the whole time, and you can see OG grouping up for a smoke. They'll dodge
#3.
They'll dodge the gank of Newbee, and now they come out. 5-man strong, double Black Hole from the Enigma, ready to rock and rumble.
But OG can't do Roche themselves. That's a huge issue with this lineup.
They almost have to bait Newbee into coming to check it, which is sort of what happened before. And Kaka's checking it now.
Checking is not a big deal. They need them to, like, if it's just 1 or 2 heroes, it's not a big deal for them because you need to be able to commit whole to this fight.
Is Kaka actually completing an entire heart? Like that lion? He has a revert. Yeah, he just needs a bit booster, and he's going to have a heart over on the lion. KP trouble. There's your first stun. They have no life steals inside. He'll pop back out again. The Gem of True side. Lost Song of the Siren. U9. That rage won't last long enough. He's going to go to bed before he makes it home. Sleeping in the streets, and OG, they're going to mug him. They just wrap around the wall on Rock though. It hits perfectly. The BKB wasn't up, and now the Burrow strike out. Where's your timing? You buy back over on KP. He'll actually dodge the Solar Suns, and that Sandstorm trying to do work for the double sentries down from OG. They had the vision. The Rock is gone. Song of the Siren is down as well. And both teams will disengage.
So much for not dying during an Electric Vortex. I think he had the mentality that he couldn't die during Electric Vortex.
Wait, is this going to happen again? Last time this happened, we had like a 1-for-1 trade-off. Yeah, the buyback came out from the SK. OG sort of went for Roshan.
They have Black Hole this. They have
the refresher this time.
Yeah, he actually popped it a little bit later. I don't know why he didn't use it immediately, but regardless.
Oh, they're coming up. There's Kaka, jumps in for the Hex, able to find that initial target, but Anna, S4, there's your 2-man hole. Can he bring them all down? Lion's the first one to fall. U9, he survives, and now it's time to fight with the epicenter for KP. Legendary on top, it's a double kill for KP. They will fly the cream, and Anna will die as well. Almost able to TP out, but into the 9 stop for the Bloodstone. It's not enough to keep T-Rex alive, and Newbee, they will wipe OG from the face of the pit, and then take Roshan to boot.
Oh, God. I thought he got the SF with the hole, and then he didn't. And then they popped the Shrine, and then you could see no one dying.
Let's see that again. Oh.
Wow.
And
that you really wanted to get SEC, but they have no reserve reward up there. Not close enough. I actually can't believe that it didn't get the SF this fight. And Anna's trying his best to stop the damage, but SEC is just chucking away at them.
Oh, boy. OG, they've been so good, but this is now the second fight you've seen Newbee come out on top. You mentioned the Observer Ward, I think that's it again. It's the vision game. Newbee knew exactly what they could get away with, and they got away with it.
There's only been one positioning blunder by SECC, and that was near the T1 on top. And after that, they've been phenomenal at spacing themselves out properly and just making life really difficult for S4. He's trying his best to get as many people as he can in the black hole. Yep. There were 2 black holes, and I think he got 2 people. I guess Warlock kind of had it at the very end. I don't know if that really counts, but he got 2 black holes, an average of like 2 heroes per, and one of them support. Kaka has the respawn talent too, so he doesn't even really care if he dies.
Yeah, respawn talent as well as the 2.3k life and a full heart. Wait, he's got a second heart in his quick buy. He can't go double heart on a Lion, can he?
Why not?
This isn't a thing. Like,
he can do what he wants.
Like, having Aghanim himself is going to be better for him. Oh, the catch out, Kaka trying to go deep to put down the Observe Ward, and he is ordered up and will die. So even with the heart, he won't survive. KP, a quick Sandstorm. He gets caught out by the Song of the Siren. This is big. Remember, KP expected his buyback in the fight before, but there was no damage. He blinks away. TP support coming towards Faith. SC will arrive in the back of the BTs. And OG have to consider if they still want this fight. No Song of the Siren, no way to disengage. Yes, he's got the cause. The Rock will fall. The BKB will protect him. And the epicenter. KP's going to bring in the damage, but NC goes down. 99 seconds without him. The Aegis Immortal. It brings life back again to U9. Ready to fight another day, but can he? He's instead, he's controlled, and he's losing his friends. KP's gone, and now it's U9 on the world. He'll infest and take the column. He'll try and survive inside the big chaotic offering. It won't be enough. Pop back out, diffused up, controlled up, and brought down. Lion was trying to make it back in time to help him, but Kaka knows it was futile.
Without the line, they actually have no control for the Storm. So Storm could do whatever he wanted in that fight. Yeah, 2x Midnight Pole, that's a lot of damage.
All right, OG. They want to enter the base. Double buybacks will have to be committed here from Newbee to defend it. And there's your first one. It's SC back. The Orchid silence. Well, Lion will survive that. One familiar gets picked off. And OG, the buyback from the SF may be enough to dissuade them from going to the Tier 3 towers. And in fact it is. They will retreat at the 50-minute mark. They're happy. They're happy to send us into probably 2 a.m. to finish day 1 of DAC.
I actually can't believe that he's going for 2 hearts. I mean, the heart in the first place is surprising. Usually you just get BKB. It's like, yeah, whatever, I'll just BKB it off. And they don't really have that much solution to BKB, but the heart's very curious.
It's the whole idea, right? I survive. I will survive.
Man, this cooldown reduction is insane, though. Look, like the Enigma almost has both his black holes up, and Lifesteal hasn't even respawned.
We actually have to start renaming Kaka. Kaka is the doctor. The man with 2 hearts. With a low respawn time is basically regeneration power.
I wonder if he's going to take the +3 mana
Kaka,
drain.
keep running, keep running. He'll go invis. Oh, S4 doesn't see him. They lost the gem before, and they do not have any vision of him this time. So he disappears.
So how is Naga doing? Naga's almost topped out, right? Naga is 6-slotted with an Abyssal Blade.
He brought that Abyssal Blade up freshly after the mid push before.
Abyssal Blade is tough. It's good for the Lifestealer, but it's not so great versus the Shadow Fiend. SCZC might need a refresher for 2 BKBs and 2 Satanic. I don't actually know.
What's he done? He's just buying the Hyperstone for now.
It's just hard. If you're sitting in 2 Midnight Pulse, you're just going to die.
Yeah.
Because it lasts longer than the Satanic. And they are going to hold him, or try to hold him. I guess he just has to stay out of the hole. They probably need more Force Staffs on the Radiant side to play around Midnight Pulse.
Well, he's got the Dragonlance sitting on the side. Maybe it is worth finishing a Hurricane Pike and keeping that up for the. But having a Hurricane Pike when you're a 6-slotted SF feels wrong.
Ideally, you just have like Lotuses and Force Staffs on your supports.
Can you subscribe to the Book of Kai and not try and raise your life, but actually raise your armor? Go for the double butterfly.
Double butterfly doesn't help versus the issue though. He died at Midnight Pulse last fight, not the right clicks.
It's like if he raises his life though, it's going to be even more difficult.
He would not be a good SF player.
I would not.
I'm actually a terrible SF player myself.
That's why I play simple heroes like Venom Hancer. Let me put a ward down. Hey, it does all my damage for me. Yay!
That's too many actives on that hero.
It's just ... That's all.
So he's going Lotus Orb 2 on Visage. So
okay.
that means all their damage is coming from their cores. No firepower from the supports. Really have to rely on Ana to do a lot of the damage here.
Well, he does have the Bloodstone, the Bloodthorn finished up, and the bypass finishing is Skadi to do so. Also, not dying is a very useful thing. So he's not falling well behind. It is a Manta on the quick buy of Lifestealer.
He has problems against the Orchid.
I think he also has problems with the Ensnare. He got locked in when he popped back out of the Aegis the Immortal, and they just kited him out from that point.
That's why they need the Lotuses on supports, or Lotus and Force Staffs, so they can buff up the cores, just like the Dire side is doing. If you have to waste your money on that Manta style, like you want MKB at this point as a Lifestealer. Or, yeah, MKB, maybe even... I'm trying to think of any other items for Lifestealer. I think Butterfly's pretty good too, but you'd have to rely on
You can't really buy those items though, because right now I think Warlock is focused on staying alive, and staying alive, which means he can't get out there and find any farm. He's the lowest net worth. Lion would be the one person that can do it. He's putting himself in the thick of things, but he's still looking to be the doctor.
I think Sand King could too. Instead of a BKB, he could potentially grab a Lotus.
Do you actually turn the Lion into this position of saying, you know what, I'm going to be that front person where I want you to attack me and not everybody else? Because it does take him a lot to bring him down.
He has no armor. So he died very quickly last time. You get Solar Crested, you're like very close to negative armor as the Lion.
So then the AC makes no sense. Like Shiva's would probably make more sense over on him than the secondary heart. But I still agree with you, like the items for survivability with the Force Staffs, that also makes more sense.
Yeah.
Keep SC in the best position.
Lotus gives you armor though. He had like what, 5 armor when I was looking at him, a few from Tranks and then +5 from the AC. So 13 armor with an aura, that's pretty low.
SC showing himself. There's still a lot of Newbee behind. There's your BKB into the black hole, holding SC down. The first rock is going to drop, but S4 wants to go for a secondary black hole. He's losing his life quickly, and he knew he had to let it rip, and they've got the kill. No SC for almost 2 minutes, but what damage can now be done? You're looking for it, the epicenter, KP, he's slung, and maybe with a Burrow strike forward. They do have that Infest live sillies do work. Ana jumping back forward, looking for his target onto the Lion. So Kaka is down, and Song of the Siren will now be committed. They will hold him there. Faith wants to start his TP out. Malphus will stop that one. So it's KP and Faith, 2 different sides, 2 different battles, but the result is the same. It is death all round. Lifestealer will buy back. Lion's got his, but this is the best window of opportunity OG have had in a while to go high ground.
Huge play by S4. The Shadow Fiend's the only one that can do range damage during Black Hole, so he's not going to die during BKB Black Hole if he holds SF, and he just holds him twice, and there's nothing that they can do about it unless you get Refresher on Warlock. That's the only way to stop it, surprisingly.
Oh, U9 trying to solo hold this bottom, but you can see the 3-pronged attack coming in. S4 and Jirax are working the bottom lane. The Lotus Orb will protect him, and he knows it, so U9 has to be cautious, but middle lane's being beaten down. Faith will come out as well. The Lion is back alive again. Looks like Ana is going to retreat out. There's a big wave pushing in through top, and in fact, you seeing the TP top lane as well. Someone has to go up here to defend it. Without the SF, they don't have the clearance. KP's coming back alive again, so there's the Naga Siren. Illusion's doing the push. U9, Orchid on him. They've got to be careful. They can't lose U9 here. KP with the Burrow strike, trying to create space. U9 able to back out. S4, he's let the BKB run. He's got 7 seconds. That Black Hole is back off cooldown. They cannot keep this engagement going, or can they? They baited out longer. Kaka on the run. Heart won't protect you now. The buyback is out. Lion's back right. Yeah, Black Hole! It catches 2 on the back line. Kaka can't stop it. They're going to lose everything here, Newbee. And maybe even the game with no life steal for 2 minutes. They do. They call it. 57 minutes, and OG will take game 1 of this winners bracket semi-final best of 3.
I really like that game. There were 2 varying philosophies for each of the teams. I think on the Radiant side, the supports kind of played themselves, whereas OG, they enabled their cores. I think it's one of the best things that OG does is enabling their cores to shine. Like 4 stabs and Lotuses, it was a really big issue that they couldn't save the SF in that last fight. The Lifestealer also had a bit of Manta style because he's scared of one puny Orchid / Bloodthorn. But I think Newbee did play very well. But I think it was a small draft victory coming out from OG, and just no great Black Hole counter aside from Faith, who got destroyed in the first 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah. And the best Black Hole counter they seemed to have was Observer Wards. Like they just knew the better fight to take. They knew when S4 wasn't going to do enough. But yeah, when the Refresher Orb came out, everything started to work for him.
Too many items.
Yeah, too many heroes to ban as well. Like we've seen so many spectacular heroes in just this one game. We knew what all came out from the group stage as well. I cannot wait to see what happens in game 2, how the draft unfolds. And of course, there's some guys out there who know exactly what to talk about with that one. It's the panel.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you? Thank you very much, Toby. We will come back to Toby, of course, and Malini for game number 2. What an interesting game we've got to break down. Peter, what did you make of that?
It was a pretty good game. It was
fun to watch.
Yeah, it was an awesome game to start the tournament.
Yep.
Definitely saw some high-level Dota from both teams. Shaky start from Newbee. It looked like they were a little. They were trying to put pressure on the Naga in the early game, and it kind of worked. Like Naga didn't really farm that much, but they gave up a bunch of kills. But they did make like a mid-game comeback, and they had a ton of great plays, and we saw some huge epicenters and Warlock, Fatal Bonds combos, but in the end, just like OG had too much team fight, and the Enigma is so strong with all the cooldown reduction, like BKB and Blink Dagger, and all of his items are just always up.
Yeah, no, Black Hole was like, is it 50 seconds, I think?
God, no. It's like 100.
No.
Is it? Oh, okay. It
feels
felt like it was
right.
50
He
seconds.
had a refresher, so
like,
he had 2.
He did get 2, didn't he? Yeah.
That's what's so cool about that build is that if you can get away with the Midas, it gets you to a fast level 15, I believe, which is the gold per minute one. It's like 120 GPM. So you have Midas and GPM. Or, I'm sorry, cooldown reduction at 15, GPM at 20. So you've got a Midas. It lowers your Midas cooldown. You've got a GPM talent. You get all of your items, and then you get to rely on that like, refresher crap.
And he's a hero that just farms fast. Even like before talents, we saw Enigmas, even like position 4 Enigmas who would jungle, oftentimes even like topping the net worth.
Yeah, there was a lovely early one. There was a 7 minutes in, S4 just wandering around while they're all slept, deciding, shall I put it here? Shall I put it there? Eventually just drops it, and Toby loses his voice again.
These fights are ultimately what costs Newbee so much, because
in the early game at least.
No. I think in the end it costs them the game, because if you look at OG's lineup, right, it's very greedy, and I would say that the sort of like team fight lineup that Newbee have kind of composed, it is one of the big lineups of 7.0, and even going a little bit further backwards, is that in order to win in this meta, you have to actually win a team fight. So a lot of these team fight heroes, these carries like Lifestealer are supposed to drop off post like 45 minutes, are actually still plenty relevant. So what OG did is, while they drafted their supports, they drafted very greedy. They made sure they still had better late game no matter what, because they drafted the supports that scale really well. That's the big thing, is like these teamfight heroes win your supports.
Well, we talked a lot about the Visage pick. Peter, what do you think in hindsight now?
I mean, I don't know. Like,
it didn't have the biggest impact on the game, did it?
I don't think it had a huge impact. I mean, they won their tri-lane with it, which I think is where, I mean, Visage does okay, I guess. You know, he has like a nice soul assumption for a nuke, but I don't think he's particularly strong in a tri-lane. So they kind of just got, I don't know. I'm not sold on the hero yet, but
need to see more.
It definitely looked good. He got a lot of farm this game, and he was he actually took quite a while for like Lifestealer or someone to really kill, because he had a bunch of items.
Ultimately, you see the weakness in Visage through a bad early game, right? Like you put pressure. Like if you're able to win a tri-lane against that hero, or you dominate at least 10,
I also
15
didn't
minutes.
I didn't really see his impact in the mid game. We saw Newbee kind of making this comeback. You know, maybe another hero could have been better, whether it was like Disruptor or something that could also combo with the Naga. But
so it's always going to look good as long as OG keep winning the first 15 minutes of the game.
I mean, I think the Birds did a lot in terms of teamfight setup, at least. Like in the crucial Botrax fight, for example, they were the one that set up the stun on the Lifestealer, and it's like a more like random way to set up the stun. You can go hit the Birds, they get a stun off, luckily, then you start chain stunning. Like there's definitely openings that the Birds help you grab. I feel like it was pretty justified.
Seems okay. I mean, do they pick him first because they don't want to reveal kind of their strategy? They want to wait for those 2 picks from Newbee before they start really, you know, going into their strategy, or are they just, you know, really that confident that Visage is the first pick hero?
I think it's a little bit of both. Doesn't seem super confident to me. I don't see him being extremely OP, but there's definitely some solid things. Like he's constantly full HP. It's difficult for Newbee to actually jump on him first. It wasn't usually until like halfway through the team fights that he would melt usually. So I'm sure his damage output, if we get to the score screen, was really solid, especially with Elder Titan amping up his soul assumption nuke and his physical damage. Seemed okay to me. But yeah, it definitely looked a lot harder for OG than the other days that they drafted Naga with the Enigma, mostly because of the Warlock. So I liked Newbee's draft a lot, that they protected against that, but it obviously still had some issues.
Yeah, it gives them plenty of questions for game 2, doesn't it?
Yeah. Do they grab the Warlock again? I think it's safe, but they've got to win the tri-lane as well if they pick too greedy.
They do a little better in the early game. I think that mid-game kind of success that they had actually kind of routes them into a win, like you were saying. But the game just went too long, and Naga has short cooldown on sleep, Enigma has short cooldowns on everything, and there's just too much team fight. Maybe if Warlock had a refresher, they would have had some opportunities, but we saw S4 just kind of bombing into team fights with Black Hole BKB on top of Shadow Fiend, and then Warlock would ult, and then he would just do it again.
I do feel like that kind of playstyle kind of caught Newbee by surprise in some ways, right? When they first went for that pressure on Nagasar and they wrapped 3 heroes behind, I think they're sort of naturally assuming that we've seen a lot of teams, we learned this lesson about like abandoning your safe lane like fairly early on, and OG, they went the exact opposite of that route, where they're actually protecting that safe lane very early on because they're so cooldown dependent, right? And they get this early Black Hole, they get this early Naga Siren. They actually want to take that first initial team fight and kind of set the pace, right? Get those cooldowns and use them now, right, in order to get a good offensive team fight. And I think that kind of caught Newbee by surprise.
That wasn't OG taking the fight. That was Newbee giving them the fight.
I would say in some ways the positioning was, like, you're not just going to, they didn't just, like, mass TP in because, like, oh, God, like, we're getting dove, right? They already had in that kind of positioning in the first place. I think they had the plan to be able to protect their Naga Siren lane.
5-figure damage from every single player on the OG side.
It's pretty good. I'm surprised Jarek's is so high, actually. It's a little higher than Fly's, but...
And 33,700 from S4.
Yeah, Kaka and Faith, the Warlock and the line, really low damage numbers. That you could definitely see their value, but it's not quite the same thing. And if your damage output is on a Shadow Fiend and a Lifestealer and you're playing against a Black Hole hero, that makes it straightforward. Black Hole those guys, get them killed, and their damage is done.
MVP for this game? Where do we go with this one? Quite tough, isn't it, to pick one player out? But would S4 be the man?
Enigma had huge impact. I think he had a couple of misplays, and also like, you know, black holing after Naga sleep isn't like the most.
He wandered around for about 3 seconds before he decided where he wanted to try.
Yeah,
where he would throw it. So
fit in the right angle. No, I think OG as a team played very well. So
always hard, isn't it, when the team plays well to pick out one individual, because that's the essence of the game, really, isn't it? When the team comes together like that.
Yeah, I think Jarex was probably a silent hero in that game as well. We saw how much hero damage he had. We didn't even notice. So
that's hard to do with just that hero. You have like 2 mediocre nukes. The first 2 skills, he must have landed a lot of really big ultimates and stuff like that.
I was about to say, again, it's kind of like the black hole, right? It's like the Song of Siren comes in, you just throw down your ulti, and you get like probably 2K damage off of that.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
I would agree. I think it's just like everyone kind of came together. I mean, they had a team fight crafted lineup, right? So
maybe Ana. I don't know. He did have a crap load of kills, but he could have definitely played a little better as well. There's something you're talking about downstairs where if S4 initiates with the black hole, Ana's got to just jump for the back lane to try to maybe catch the Warlock. Because if he does, you get a full duration black hole. That makes your team fight completely different.
That was kind of one of the holes in their draft, is that they didn't really have that vision hero to find Warlock, so they kind of had to go in blind.
Yeah, I think that's why we were talking about the Monkey King, maybe the Beastmaster at the end of that draft would have fitted for vision, but
there's a couple options. It's hard to do as a 4.
Yeah.
Seeing that lineup and seeing it in play and how the Elder Titan added to it, do you prefer having the added team fight power, or do you think the vision hero still would have been potentially better or just different, I guess?
I've more and more favored large team fight lineups this patch. I've just seen, the teams with the better team fight just winning the games. So I think it was fine to go that route. I would be interested to see a team kind of try a different route, but I think it would potentially be like a little more finesse and possibly harder to pull off.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to get some more social media questions right now. Thank you for all of you putting them into the Reddit post. Do head over to Dota 2's Reddit right now and stick your questions in there. Hopefully they'll appear on the screen throughout the day. We're not too far away from the draft, so let's take another. Which teams could cause the biggest upsets? Well, I think we saw Empire in the group stages for sure.
I think any team in the best of 1 category. I think that the best of 3s, this one's really close. I think that IG will probably take the next one over Empire, and then any of the best of 1s where there's kind of like upset potential. Faceless Liquid. I mean, Faceless looks pretty bad this tournament, but they went 2-0 over Wings, and they hit a couple nice victories in the group stage.
And they're a bit cheesy.
Yeah, it's just one game.
Best of 1's perfect for them, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the best opportunity for an upset.
Okay.
I actually think for like long-term, like really deep upsets, I thought MP, like they were really inconsistent, but when they were on, I think they looked really good. Like when they had a well-put-together strategy that it felt like they'd played throughout and experienced a lot of, I thought they looked really solid, especially in the versus the EG team. So I think maybe they could be a potential team that surprises everybody. I'm still not fully set on Empire. Obviously, they've already gotten their upset. Whether or not they continue that success is still to be seen. I'm kind of 50-50 on it.
Yeah, I would agree. There's a lot of teams that have had amazing games where they look like top teams, and other games where they looked like the worst team here. So, yeah, there's a lot of unknowns to go.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if that
Take a pick, Purge.
You guys covered all the big ones.
You can agree with us.
Yeah, just
I did.
You agreed with all of us.
It's a very blanket statement of you.
So anyone could be an underdog. I think that's what we've just learned. Let's take another social media question. Why is SMY not picked more despite recent buffs? How to make it viable?
I think it has been, actually. The item was barely touched in the pro scene for at least 2 or 3 months. Mantle was always a pick.
We've seen it?
We've actually seen it a couple times.
I think we saw Echo Saber kind of come into the game and really kind of take over for a lot of, especially like strength heroes.
Yeah.
You know, they favored Sven and Lifestealer, and all these heroes were just like, Echo Saber makes way more sense, and it's like better value and cheaper, and it gave them the mana regen that they were lacking. So it was like a really convenient item for a lot of good reasons. But SNY just seems underwhelming. I think we're seeing a little bit more of it as those.
We saw a little bit in the groups.
I would say that like
amount,
Echo Saber hits a timing of like 15 minutes or something where it like gives you this boost where you kind of need it. SNY almost comes a little bit too late because it's still an item ultimately that you want to transition out of. You're going to throw away that item, and we are seeing like a very important scaling. Like everybody wants to be able to scale past 45 minutes. So SNY just hits this awkward timing where it's like, yeah, it feels good at like 20 minutes, but you know, you're going to start thinking about scaling outside of that by 30. While Echo Saber's like it's right at that sweet timing where it's like it gives me my early game transitions and adds power to that.
Okay. Still waiting for the draft to come back. Kevin, what are your thoughts on itemization overall so far that you've seen throughout the tournament?
There's some new stuff for sure. Yeah, let's say things like the Midas build on Enigma is maybe one of the newer things that's kind of interesting. Monkey King itemization definitely has some stuff to be figured out still. It seems like the Midas build's the way to go now.
Minuses as a whole, right? Like across the board, there have been a lot of
quite a few. Yeah.
I think with the addition of talents into the game now, it makes a lot more sense to kind of push yourself past the level of 16.
Yeah. Whereas
So
before you're like, oh, I'm 16. I don't
yeah,
care
before
what
it's like
happens.
you wouldn't want to be a higher level because you just give up more gold and you give up more experience and you'd give up
time dead.
yeah,
Just always dead
death
forever.
timer, everything. So now it makes sense to get to higher levels because we have such amazing talents at level 20 and level 25 that kind of almost change your hero.
Even those like those level 10 experience gain, like Tusk, for example, I don't really think he's a Midas hero. But when you have plus 40% experience gain, like that Midas looks really good because you just immediately, you get level 10, you have that Midas, you immediately get to level 15, you get 150 extra damage out of Snowball. That's still value when you're getting it at like 20, 25 minutes.
So maybe the talents have changed things a little bit as well. We are into the draft. Are we going to see the same bands? That's the first question we have to come to. And
Naga's already gone.
Yeah,
I think
and
Naga's
do Newbee attack this Visage, or do they just go, no, that's not
Visage,
really
no.
why?
Visage
They leave it.
Yeah.
Visage is going to be left.
Naga was the problem because it's the only split pusher in the game that can actually kind of win you the game because it still gives you really good team fight potential.
Right.
Most of the other split pushers aren't